our kids safe out there. So we're being recorded, everybody. Just my background is law enforcement. I'm a retired police officer. I was a lieutenant with West Windsor Police in Mercer County for 25 years. I love what I do now because I get to talk to kids and parents before the disaster happens. I saw some very unfortunate things happen on our roadways throughout my 25-year police career. And I got to say, the two programs I'm going to go over momentarily, I'm 110% behind. I think they're very valuable. They do a good job. Research-based, research-driven programs we're not picking things out of the air, okay? A lot of research went into these programs. Right now, I want to let Kate O'Connor, my counterpart, introduce herself, and then we'll get going with some overview of the programs that we offer.
Good morning, everyone. I apologize. I had to remove the Spanish subtitles that I have on for presentations. I didn't want it to be distracting. I work for the Brain Injury Alliance of New Jersey. We are a nonprofit who support and advocate for individuals who are affected by brain injuries. And we also have a huge role in prevention. So we offer programs on bike, helmet, pedestrian safety, distracted driving. We have fall prevention programs for older adults, car seat programs, and pretty much any program from birth to seniors that deals with brain injury prevention. We have a huge role in high schools, as Jill mentioned, and I'm going to talk about those programs in a little bit. So happy to be here.
Okay, so I'm going to go over the two programs that NJM offers to high schools throughout the state of New Jersey. Once again, free of charge, everybody. Doesn't cost a dime. First one, it's called What Do You Consider Lethal program. It's a classroom-based program. Predominantly, our target group is sophomores. We'll do it for other age groups, sophomores, because they're in the driver's ed program. And we want those kids to have that valuable information as they get into that driving process. It's through Impact Team Drivers. Very good program, very well received. A lot of you that are listening in right now probably have us come out and do the program. By the way, it's not only me doing the programs. Primarily, I do share the keys. I have my brother, Mike McCormick, and a good colleague of mine, Mike Tullio, both also are retired police officers, do these programs in the schools and virtually. We offer virtual as well as in classroom. All right, so I'm going to just go over, as we get into the program here, we ask the question when we go into the classroom, what do you consider lethal, or what would you consider deadly to the students that we talk to? And then we have three posters that come up. And then we indicate to them that, we do a survey throughout the United States. And that survey for kids around the United States, they thought that grizzlies, crack, AIDS, and swords were deadly or lethal, okay? And then we add lip gloss. And then we do the same thing for the other posters. We go down through all the answers there that are taken from a survey from around the United States, Cobra tsunamis, cancer assassins, and then we added texting. And then we go through the end again, as you can see, and then we go to lattes. And what's the common denominator? It's deadly when you're driving a car. Because if you put on lip gloss or you text or you drink a latte, number one, you have one hand off the wheel, right? And number two, more importantly, your eyes are not on the roadway. We can't do, everybody talks about multitasking. You cannot do two things at once. So either you're looking at the roadway, or you're trying to put lip gloss on, or you're looking at the text, or you're, trying to drink that latte, pulling your head back, your eyes are coming off the road. Very dangerous, right? So that's how we start the program out. Then what we do is we go into a video. And the video goes over a story about Donovan. Donovan was a young man, good kid, out with his friends on a Friday night. Yep. His girlfriend was actually driving the car. And unfortunately, Danica, who was known to be a good driver, wasn't driving great. She made some poor choices one particular night, which we want to illustrate in this program. It's not somebody who's necessarily out there driving recklessly all the time or doing things, they're out of control. It's the kids are, hey, good kids, the average driver out there that can make little mistakes that unfortunately can lead to a fatality or serious injury. Unfortunately, Donovan lost his life in that car crash. Some of the contributing circumstances to that: going too fast, primary reason. Number two, a lot of distraction in the vehicle, radio going on, loaded up with kids. You know, we talk about the GDL in this program as well. Cars loaded up with kids. And, you know, unfortunately, Donovan didn't have a seatbelt on and he was ejected from the vehicle. So we get all these things that were absolutely preventable happened. And unfortunately, this young man lost his life. And we use it as an illustration of what not to do. Good driver makes good decisions. And that's what we try to get across in this program. Right, so in the program, there's a risk wheel. Kate, if we go through, we're gonna go to the bottom section of that risk wheel now. There we go. So the wheel's made up of several different layers. The first layer, we talk about driving at night as compared to driving in the daytime, driving with maybe one person in the car, nobody in the car, one person in the car, 2, 3. As we add people to the car, it used to be the biggest reason why young people were involved in car crashes. Too many people in the car, passenger distraction. Driving at night, more difficult than driving in the daytime, clearly. The layers, you know, keep coming. So as soon as we add things like starting to try to eat or drink when we're driving the car, try to adjust the radio, all the way up to the last layer of texting and driving, using that cell phone and driving. The number one cause of crashes for teens today, cell phone use, you know, bottom line. So we talk about all these things. There's just different layers of risk. And what we want to do is make them understand, the kids, we want them to understand that we want to keep that risk as low as possible, especially during that first year on a probationary license. We also talk a lot about the GDL. We go over the whole GDL, all the restrictions on that GDL, why it's so important, why they matter. Nobody's trying to pick on 17-year-old drivers. Those restrictions are on that graduated driver's license to reduce risk. And guess what? It's a proven fact that risk is gone. We had one of the things we present in the Share the Keys program, as we make our way into that program, one of the things we go over is how many people, teens and passengers, were lost in the last 10 years. Well, we just upped the, we looked at the statistics again, and what we found was it was 550 over the last 10 years. Now, over this last 10-year period, which is 2011, statistics take a while, you know. So from 2011 to 2020, that's the last group of statistics that we have yearly. We found that we lost 326 teen drivers and passengers. Now, I'm not jumping for joy over 326, but it's better than 550. We're going in the right direction, but we got a lot of work to do. Vision zero, right? Zero fatalities. That's what we're trying to get to. All right, so Share the Keys real quick. Share the Keys is a nighttime, primarily a nighttime program. Now, we have been doing it, honestly, during the day over the summertime, in the morning and daytime, virtually, and we've been very successful with that. So we offer it whenever the school wants it, but primarily it's at nighttime. It's a parent-based program. We want parent and teen involved in this particular program. Why? Because parents really are the ones that get the job done. As far as we want parents to understand what the GDL is, yeah, we want to reduce risk through parental involvement, bottom line. So that's what Share the Keys is really all about. So Children's Hospital Philadelphia had a lot to do with the research that went into the Share the Keys program. So back in 2009, they did a really big study of teen driver safety throughout the United States. They took over 6,000 kids from every demographic you can think about. Kids from cities, suburbs, rural areas, a really nice piece of American teen driving. And what they figured out was parents fell into 4 different approaches or categories as it relates to teen driver safety. So Kate, why don't you go ahead and put up all 4 of those approaches. There we go. Okay, so what it does is it starts out with, you know, more or less an uninvolved parent at the bottom left corner there, you know, parent that provided little active support, really didn't set any rules and really didn't monitor their teen driver. you know, kids will be kids and you learn from your mistakes. It's more or less their parents is not too involved in that driving process. And then as we make our way through these, you go up and over. As we end on the right side of the screen, we end with parents that provided lots of support. They did set a lot of rules and they did closely monitor their teen drivers. So their feeling was, oh, Karen, I'll give you the freedoms that you weren't, but for safety related issues, you'll do as I say. So that's a very involved parent. And what we found was those kids, there was a serious reduction in risk for them to become involved in a crash or get hurt, or worse, become involved in a fatality through that parental involvement. So that's the study that CHOP did back in 2009. And all the things they learned then still absolutely hold true today. All right, so some of the things we go over, you know, clearly, once again, we want to get across that parents really do matter. So what we found through the Share the Keys program, that, you know, these kids were half as likely to crash, 71% less likely to drive while intoxicated, and 30% less likely to use a cell phone. Well, the study was done in 2009. So I venture to say, fairly confident that that 30% less likely to use a cell phone today in 2022 would be significantly higher. Cell phones aren't going anywhere. We have a huge issue with that. We want to take that cell phone out of the equation. So yes, we talk a lot about cell phones in the program. Really all the restrictions on that graduated driver's license we talk a lot about. Once again, the goal is always, and we want to increase that parental involvement. So, okay, so here we go. Obviously, we want parents to know we want the kids to imitate. We want the parents to be something great to imitate. And, you know, we know we're, for the most part, preaching to the choir when we talk to parents about this. Parents are, you know, generally involved in that driving process. They want to be involved in the driving process. Sometimes they're nervous about it, which is understandable. So, you know, this little girl on the right side of that screen there, for example, that's where our kids learn how to drive a car. As soon as they go into that forward-facing child safety seat, that's where they learn how to drive a car. So really, the program really serves as a reminder to the parents more than anything that, you know what, your kids are paying attention when they're sitting in the car in the back seat in the child safety seat. And at 16, as they're coming into the permit process, they're still paying attention. So what parental behavior as they drive that car does matter. Buckle up, avoid distractions, follow the speed limit, avoid aggressive driving, and of course, drive responsibly, right? Goes without saying. All right, so we want to support that graduated driver's license. And there's some things we can do to get that message across, you know, and that's where Share the Keys is very effective. It has a Share the Keys resource guide that goes with the program. If we do it in person, we're able to hand everybody that Share the Keys resource guide. If we're not doing it in person, guess what? We have a link that makes that guide accessible to parents, even virtually, so they get the same information. So what we want to kind of get across is you want to set clear rules, consequences, and rewards. You want to put it in writing, very effective. And yes, guess what? That Share the Keys resource guide absolutely allows that parent and that teen driver to put all these critical things that you go over in the GDL, as far as that restrictions on the license. They go over and they're able to set rules, consequences, and rewards in writing. And if we do it in person, a lot of times we'll do a little example of that. For the in-person virtual program, very difficult to do that. But we want to make sure that, hey, key into that resource guide, because it's like the toolbox of teen driving. I've been around a long time, and that Share the Keys resource guide is a very, very well put together guide for teen driver safety. So put it in writing, follow through. We want to remain consistent, which we know how that can be. Anybody who has teens, a parent knows, and I have two 24-year-olds right now, twin girls that are 24, and it can be difficult. But when it comes to driving, we want to make sure that, you know, we keep that risk down as low as possible. And lastly, there's also a Get Home Safe contract that really goes beyond driving. It's really high school in a nutshell. Let's face it, you know, high school isn't that much different than it was 10, 20, 30 years ago. There's just a lot of technology added on top of that, right? So gives you an opportunity to come up with a code word or maybe an emoji. So if something's going wrong, the team could reach out, let the parent know what's going on. Okay, Kate, go there, Nick. There's 3. Just throw that. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Let's face it, sometimes things aren't going too good with teens and parent finds out what's going on. Sometimes cause for get a little upset, cool off period, good idea. Maybe not talk about the situation until the next day, until you think about it a little bit. And at the end of the day, most of these kids are really going to do a good job with all this stuff. And we can't overlook the fact that, when they're doing a good job, we got to reward the right choice, right? The positive reinforcement today really goes a long, long, long way. Keep them on the straight and narrow. So that's pretty much Share the Keys in a nutshell, guys. Both of these programs, once again, free of charge to high schools throughout the state. If you want more information on them, my information is going to be here today in the program. I want to give Kate a lot of opportunity to getting to the PSA contest. That it's a joint venture between NJM Insurance Group and Brain Injury Alliance of New Jersey. And Kate, you want to take it over, and I want them to know all about that PSA contest, because guess what? It's going to give you guys an opportunity to win a lot of money for your school. That's right. Win a lot of money for your school. Pretty good stuff, right?
Okay, thank you, Pat. So as Pat mentioned, do you want to win a lot of money for your school? And Jill on the call and Terry, who I saw, has won money from 2 of our programs, which I'm going to talk about today. So we have our Champion School program that works alongside the Just Drive PSA contest. And I'm going to talk about both of these. They're both teen driving safety programs. The one is just the PSA contest. That's the one on the left. All you're doing is creating a distracted driving PSA and you're done, and you could enter to win 3 different prize categories. And the one on the right, the Champion School program, runs throughout the entire school year, and you have a chance to create, really amazing campaigns on a topic of your choice. So now I just want to give a quick video about the Champion School program first, and then I'll go into the PSA contest at the end.
The Champion Schools program, presented by the Brain Injury Alliance of New Jersey, delivers a statewide peer-to-peer message about the importance of safe driving among teens. The program challenges teams of students from New Jersey high schools, guided by a faculty advisor, to create projects to communicate the importance of safe driving. Not only are students challenged with involving their school in their efforts, but also their local communities. Participating schools also have the opportunity to compete for prizes against other schools in the program. Thanks to support from our sponsors, the You Got Brains Champion Schools program provides all participating schools with a stipend to create their safe driving campaign. The You Got Brains competition is free for any school that would like to enter. For more information on how to become a sponsor, visit jerseydrives.com. Every 11 minutes, a teen is involved in a car crash in New Jersey. Research shows that participation in the Champion Schools program leads to increased awareness about teen driving safety and increases safe driving behaviors. Your team will work together to create a campaign about the importance of safe driving. A midterm update and final report are required, along with either a video or PowerPoint project summary. Teams from all participating schools are invited to attend an award showcase at Six Flags Great Adventure to present their completed projects and receive recognition for their safe driving campaigns. Finalists are eligible for top prizes and are prominently featured on the Jersey Drives website and various social media pages. In order to get involved in the Champion Schools program, visit jerseydrives.com and navigate to the Champion Schools tab. Once there, click Apply Now and follow the listed instructions to get started. Good luck!
Okay, so that's a brief overview of the Champion School program. And I conveniently have a picture of Terry on here, not realizing she'd be here today. But this program offers an opportunity for students to create campaigns about teen driving safety. And we let the students choose whatever that is, if that's seatbelt safety, pedestrian safety, distracted driving. And then they develop the campaign throughout the school year and, bring it to their school and in their community. We've been doing this for 13 years with the help of NJM Insurance, and we've worked with every single county in New Jersey and well over 200 schools. This was a picture from last year when Immaculate Heart Academy won one of our top place prizes of $10,000. So how it works is you pick a driving safety topic. As I mentioned, you submit an application. Everyone who applies gets in. We just have to make you, apply. And then you are matched with an advisor from the Brain Injury Alliance. So I'm one of the advisors. We meet with you virtually, with you and your students for about a half an hour meeting. And then you receive a stipend to work on your project throughout the school year. Each school receives a $1,000 stipend, which is incredible. You can use that money to buy t-shirts, bracelets, however you want to carry out your campaign. We don't really give you guidance on this. We'll help you if you need, but it's really up to you for how you want to spend this money. We have 3 top place prizes for $10,000 cash prize for the winning schools. We also have runner-up prizes, and then the showcase is held at Six Flags Great Adventure every year. We just had it in May. It's always held the Thursday before Memorial Day weekend. It's an amazing event. The kids obviously love coming down to Six Flags. We show all their clips from their videos, we give out the prizes, and then all the students get to go into the park for free. So it's an amazing day. And if you have some students in your school that want to work on this, definitely reach out to us. Some schools have 4 kids working on their project. Some schools have 15 kids. It's really up, to you, how you want to take on this project. So that's the Champion School program. And as I mentioned, that goes throughout the entire school year. Some schools sign up in January, some are right on it in September, and you can make that project as big as you want to. And we are always accepting applications for that. Now we have the Just Drive PSA contest, which works alongside the Champion School program. You can use the PSA that you create for this as part of your Champion School project. And as I mentioned in the beginning, this is just a PSA contest, and it has to be on distracted driving, and just a 30-second PSA. So this is due on March 15th. It doesn't run the entire school year. They also have a quick virtual showcase in April that's usually held on Facebook Live. And you can enter to win both prize monies. Similar to the Champion School program, you will be paired with a BINJ support person. So usually if you're involved in both programs, you're going to be with the same person. You're not left high and dry, not knowing what to do for this project. We're always available to help. We have Zoom calls with people. I've met with some of my advisors, multiple times throughout the school year. Jill and Terry are some of the schools that I work with, Immaculate Heart Academy and Indian Hills. You can always call me, text me, whatever you need. We're here to help you. So the prizes is one of the most exciting things of this program. You can enter to win our $10,000 cash prize for the Champion School program. And then for the Just Drive PSA contest, you can also enter to win the grand prize of $15,000. Second place is $10,000, and the third place is $5,000. We've had one school that has won the Champion School program's top prize and the Just Drive top prize 2 years in a row. So they've walked away with $25,000 for their school. If you have some creative kids that want to enter, you might as well. They make these videos on their phones a lot of times. The iPhones, they can make really incredible videos nowadays. You don't have to have the most amazing, video department at your school. The kids can really do a lot with what they have. And we've seen some really creative projects. So just like anything else, there are some contest rules for the PSA contest, because we do want them to be, good quality videos. We have a participation agreement online. This is from last year. It's going to be updated very soon. They have to try to do a Just Drive pledge. So try to blast that out to their school and get as many pledges as they can. They also have to try to host a teen driver safety program. So just what Pat was just talking about, bring in these awesome free presentations to your school, and you get points for that. Attend the Just Drive showcase, the virtual one that's going to be held on Facebook Live. You could have someone from your school just attend that. They also have a social media campaign, which I'll explain in a moment. And then the PSA is due on March 15th. So judging. The judging is a really important component of the PSA contest, and this is the one part that we try to stress the most, is these videos have to be educational and informative, but also showing the correct safety cues. So if you're, making a video about distracted driving, we don't want to see people, physically texting while driving. That wouldn't be very safe. We also don't want to see people not wearing their seatbelts, because they're going to be showing these videos to other people. We want it to be, showing the right safety cues. We also don't want to see people using the word accident. We want to use the word crash. Try to use the tagline, Just Drive. So it's all broken down in the judging criteria. The technical component is also very important. We want good lighting, effective camera technique. You don't want the camera kind of moving all over the place. And then the social media campaign. This can seem overwhelming when someone says social media campaign. What do I have to do for this? We have so much going on already. But what it is you have to just create 8 posts during the month of December and 8 posts during the month of February. So kids nowadays are on social media all the time. They create 8 posts a day sometimes. So it's very easy for them to create posts and then just tag Jersey Drives and NJM Insurance. And we go through and see, how many schools are posting about this and talking about the program. We also want to see really creative videos. Some schools are making really funny videos, which we love, right? How can you spread the safety message in a fun way that your peers are going to actually resonate with? And then social benefit is also important, and accuracy, of course. So if you do, join the program, it's something that we would go over with you. We would meet with you virtually, go through the judging, the participation agreements. You would understand all of this. There's also some bonus criteria. So as I mentioned, if you host a teen driver safety program, like Pat mentioned in the beginning, you bring in what do you consider lethal, share the keys program, you get 5 extra points on your Just Drive PSA contest judging score sheet. If you are a champion school program and you do the Just Drive PSA contest, you get 5 extra points. And also the school with the most pledges gets 5 extra points. So there's a lot of opportunity to get extra points on this program. And now I just wanted to show a quick video from 2 years ago. I love this video. They won 2nd place for the PSA contest. And I like to show this one because I think any school can do this. You don't have to have, like I said, a really good media department or a really fancy camera to create a video like this. And they won $10,000 for this video.
Remember, little distractions can cause big problems. Make sure to buckle up, turn that volume down, keep your eyes on the road, and just drive.
Be the hero for yourself, for others around you, and just drive.
So I love that one. Super cute, has a superhero in there. Like, he was actually stopped when he was physically texting, so I like to talk about that part. And then they have the Just Drive message at the end. And we provide all the overlays for this to put on your video. There's a whole submission process that we go through, and we talk about that as well. So just to wrap up, it's really an awesome way to get your students involved by joining both the Champion School program and the Just Drive PSA contest. I want to stress that they work really well together. If you're doing the PSA contest, you can literally take that PSA, and that's almost enough to do the Champion School program. We are taking applications now for the programs, and it's a great way to get your community involved and your school involved. We always tell the kids it looks great for college too, to say that you're doing a teen driving safety program for your school and your community. So how do I sign up? We have on the NJM's website, they have all of their teen driver safety programs. You can sign up on there. And then on jerseydrives.com, that's our transportation safety website. You can apply to be a champion school, or you can reach out to Pat or myself and we can connect you to both the NJM Just Drive Pledge, the Share the Keys, and all the different programs that we offer. And that's all I have for today. So if anyone has any questions for Pat or myself, I'd be happy to answer them now.
If anybody wants to put a question in the chat, or if you just want to simply raise your hand, that way for if you have any questions for Pat or Kate. To both what Pat and Kate had to say, you know, I've used both programs, Just Lethal and then Share the Keys, and those are both excellent programs, both well received by parents. Parents, thank you for having these sessions. So if you've done this and you've received that feedback, please let us know. If you haven't done it, please know your parents would be totally appreciative of this effort. And then the Share the Keys and the Just Drive PSA, both excellent programs. I'm completely amazed by my students' talents and what they have taught me in the past 3 years about technology and social media, and I'm still learning. And then also the Just Drive website has a wealth of information in terms of like lesson plans, ideas, speakers, things along that line. All right.
Jill,
Yes.
if I may, I'm butting in because I always do, but my school, I teach at Immaculate Heart Academy. We've been pretty successful with this program. First of all, You Got Brains, you're crazy if you don't do this. People said to me, do it. And I was just like, no, I'm not going to do this. I don't want one more thing to do. But most of you have some kind of a program in your school already, and you're going to get a stipend for nothing. Even if you're not the big winner, you're going to get a stipend so that you can do different things with your program. Maybe it's prizes, maybe it's t-shirts, maybe it's getting a speaker in. So, you know, think about that. And we did win 3 times. How did we win? We followed the criteria. Yes, Kate, you were there for us. You were terrific. And they'll show you what the judging is. And just if you hit all the marks, then you're going to get the points that you need. The kids, as Jill said, they're amazing. If we want to develop leaders in this country, let the students lead. They have the ability. Don't be afraid. And that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Thanks, Terry.
Real quick, I saw a question about time element as far as
Yes.
the 2 programs. Share the Keys is generally about an hour, maybe a little more than an hour. We try to keep it at the hour realm because as soon as we go over that, we start to lose people. We do in person, we do give out prizes. We do some things like that. So that takes a little bit longer. All in all said and done, it's wrapped up in about an hour and a half. That's everything. The program itself, about an hour and 5 minutes. As far as what you consider lethal, that varies. I mean, some schools have a 40-minute class period, and you know what? We're going to get it done in 40 minutes. All the major points we're going to get done in 40 minutes. Some classes have a 90-minute class period. We're not going to cover the entire 90-minute class period, but we're probably going to go an hour. You know, we're going to go, probably 70 minutes. You know, something along those lines, because we have more time to get into it. And then we have a lot more time to have interaction with the kids. So we're going to fill that 90-minute class period, not necessarily everything that we're going over, but the kids will fill it in, and we have a lot more time to interact. And it really has worked out well.
All right, so we have, it's 9. Does anyone have any other questions, comments? Again, this information, we'll share this information out with you. And I see that Kate and Pat already did their information, but we'll make sure that we send that up in the next update, and we'll be showing you our Driver Ed website, which also has links to both of those programs. At this point in time, again, I want to thank you. Thanks at NJM. Thank you, Kate, for all that you do to help us. Thank you, Pat, for all that you do for our schools. And I'm going to turn it over to my co-chair, Brad Cohen, to talk about the AAA Northeast program. And I must say that, again, yes, I'm going to speak. This is another awesome program. So if you haven't had this program and it's in person, or I know I've had it virtually and in person, either way, it's excellent, but in person is really awesome too. All right, so Brad, I'm going to turn it over to you, sir. Brad, I think you're muted.
There we go.
Okay.
Hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I'd just like to say welcome, welcome and hello to everyone, and welcome to session number 2. Today's presentation is being presented by the AAA Northeast, titled "Shifting Gears: The Blunt Truth About Marijuana and Driving." Your presenters for today will be Roz Thompson and Shani Jarvis. So take it away.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having us. So let me see if I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Oh, wait, I got to do it this way. Okay, let's try again. I always have to make sure I click that button that says share sound because I always do that wrong. Okay. Are we, can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yes, we're talking this morning about Shifting Gears, which is our flagship marijuana and driving program. It's very important now just because marijuana is legal and available in New Jersey. So we've actually had this program, our traffic safety educators in Rhode Island developed it in probably around 2017, 2018. So it's about 4 years we've had it now. And since that time, we've reached about 90,000 students throughout Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New York. I think it's close to 12,000 this school year alone in all those cities. So our goal of the program is to make it clear to teens that if their driver has consumed THC, that they should not be driving. I'm sorry, if they have consumed THC, they should not be driving. And if their driver has consumed THC, then they should not be riding in the car with that driver. So we want to get teens to start thinking that just as you would designate a sober driver when you're talking about alcohol, we want to treat marijuana the same way. All right. There we go. Okay, so today's 16-year-old has grown up in a world where social norms around marijuana are very different than when we grew up. It's not our mother's marijuana. It's not our father's. It's not our grandparents' marijuana. So back then, it was illegal and illicit throughout the nation. But today, more and more states are legalizing it for not only medicinal use, but recreational use. So think about it. In 2012, when Washington and Colorado first legalized marijuana for recreational use, a 16-year-old today was in first grade. Before that, a lot of states had legalized it for medicinal use before they were born. In New Jersey, we legalized marijuana for medicinal use in 2012. So in that same vein, today's 16-year-olds would have been 4 years old. Right. So to them, it's not a scary drug. It's not illegal. It's got health benefits and it has medicinal value. I have to keep doing that. Sorry. All right. So the good news that we found with teens is that they know not to drink and drive. They consistently share with us that they wouldn't get into a vehicle with a drunk driver. They wouldn't think of driving under the influence of alcohol. And that comes from decades of traffic safety education and awareness by the traffic safety community. So there's tons of campaigns out there. Buzz driving is drunk driving, drive sober, get pulled over, friends don't let friends drive drunk. And anytime a high profile individual gets a DUI, we hear about it. All right, so that has created this extremely negative perception of driving under the influence of alcohol. Unfortunately, that same stigma doesn't exist with marijuana. So a lot of people, again, they think it's a medicinal product. They believe it has a limited effect on driving and that any impairment is minimal. And that's where the Shifting Gears program comes in. So this program is designed to demonstrate marijuana's role in impaired driving. Ultimately, the program aims to prevent marijuana impaired driving, right? That's it. We want to explain how marijuana impacts those skills that are needed to drive safely. We're talking about things like reaction time, depth perception, visual perception. We want to educate teens on the risks of marijuana use and how it affects their brain development. We reinforce the concept of designated driving for all forms of impairment. So whether you are driving, whether it's alcohol, whether it's marijuana, whether you're upset or angry, emotional driving, distracted driving, I just want to throw out there, I know we're talking about shifting gears today, but we also do a distracted driving program that has been in the schools for a long time, and we can also talk to that. We also want to work with the kids to develop solutions where if they do find themselves in a situation where everyone is impaired, how are they going to get home or stay where they are? So we want to work with them to develop a plan for alternate transportation. And we want them to think about that plan B now, so that maybe next week, maybe in a month, maybe in 2 years, when it happens to them, they can say, oh, I remember when I had that presentation, I want to make sure that I'm going to get home this way. And I always try to remind the kids that it's not just their peers, because one day, like I did, they may be responsible for getting their parents home safely. Okay, so I share a fun story about my mom who had gone to play golf with her friends, and she came and she had to pick me up at the train station. And she got to the train station and she said, you know what, I shouldn't be driving. You got to drive us home. And I said, well, what's wrong? And she said, well, we went to the Portuguese restaurant after playing golf and we had sangria. And I said, well, that's okay. And she said, but I ate the fruit because I don't drink. If you've ever had sangria, there's a reason that she was a little bit worse for the wear after eating the fruit. So I always try to remind them that, yes, it's definitely your peers, but one day it might be your parents. So we also, this is timely because recreational cannabis is now legal for adult use in New Jersey. And since the last time we presented to this group in February, it's now widely available at dispensaries across the state. So now is the time to educate all the drivers about cannabis impaired driving. And I don't know if everyone saw the news recently, but there's a new dispensary open. I believe it opened just last week. It's in Lodi. It's called the Apothecarium, and it features a drive-through lane. This is troubling because there's no guarantee that these people or anybody won't partake a little bit on the way home, and we don't want that. So that's why proper education about how cannabis can impact driving is critical. The program also aligns with several of the 2020 student learning standards for health and physical identification. So it'll help the teachers meet their goals to bring us in. And it's very important to understand the integrity of the program, to understand what students get out of the session. So we're not trying to go into a classroom and just deliver the program and not know how it's having an impact. So we do pre and post surveys that will measure the program impact. So probably about, I would say, a week before, we will give a survey to the teachers and they will send it to their students. They'll fill out all the things they think about marijuana and driving. Reaction time, does it affect your reaction time? Have you ever smoked? Does it affect your depth perception? And then after the program, we will administer a post survey that will let us know whether we made a difference, whether we changed minds. And I'll share some results for New Jersey for later, but our results from this past year indicate that we are making some kind of a difference in knowledge and behavior. And this, because I mentioned earlier about it taking decades to get to the point where that drinking and driving message is second hat. It's going to take decades and it's going to take generations that we're going to have to do this education. So one of the things that this program does is it builds heavily on research from the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety. It's actually the cornerstone of the program. So for the last 75 years, the foundation has studied traffic crashes. Why do they happen? Who's responsible or what's responsible? How do we eliminate crashes on our roads? Or when we do have crashes, how do we lessen the injuries? So we make every effort when we come in the classroom to explain that the information we're delivering is backed by research, and that we are looking at it from that eye when we talk about cannabis legalization. So the study that we highlight is from Washington State, and it's a study of fatally injured drivers who recently consumed cannabis, who, let's say they had active THC in their system. We looked at, meaning the foundation, they looked at it in the 4-year period before the state legalized marijuana and after the state legalized marijuana for recreational use. And what they found was not necessarily that the number of people doubled, but the number of drivers or the proportion of drivers involved in fatal crashes who had THC in their system doubled. Why is that? It's because the drug was more widely available, being recreational, and more people were using it, but there lacked any proper education on why cannabis and driving don't mix. So we sort of start there. And we talk about the science of cannabis. We talk about how it affects your reaction time and your different critical skills that are needed to drive safely. So I'm going to turn it over to Roz real quick. She's going to run us through some of the presentation. And yeah, all right, Roz, all you.
Thank you very much, Shani. Good morning, everyone. I'm having a great morning, and I hope that you are as well. As Shani mentioned, we've had our boots on the ground for the last 4 years. We are so proud of that. At least 3 to 4 days out of the week, we go classroom to classroom. We're even in the afternoon programs, in addition to summer programs, talking about weed, blunts, and joints. We also try to explain that we are not casting judgment, nor are we trying to reprimand or have an opinion about the legalization of marijuana. Our job as safety advocates is to make sure that teen drivers are aware of the dangers that stone driving has. So in the beginning of the presentation, we speak about the effects that routine driving has as it relates to marijuana. I kind of asked the students, as well as Shani or whoever is presenting, to kind of, narrow down these 6 critical driving habits that would affect marijuana. We talk about cognition. We talk about tracking, which is one of my favorites as we skip down, reaction time. And we explain that this presentation is not just for the driver, it's for the driver, the passenger, as well as the pedestrian, even those that are have extracurricular activities, because it does affect balance and coordination. So we break down what these critical driving skills are and how it affects driving, and we get to the nitty-gritty of that. Next slide, please. I really enjoyed this video. It's new to SAD. The prior video spoke about balance and coordination. And as Shani switches to the next slide, it will explain balance and coordination and why a stone driving is not just dangerous, it's dangerous to the pedestrian as well. Next slide.
Marijuana affects many of the critical skills needed for safe driving, namely balance, coordination, and concentration.
I was at my friend's house and we had just smoked a joint. So he went to drive me home and I look over at him and he looks like really relaxed, almost dazed. Out of nowhere, he starts drifting into oncoming traffic. And I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? Are you trying to kill us? The experience really scared me and I've never smoked weed since.
A driver's crash risk doubles when they're under the influence of marijuana. That risk only increases when a driver mixes marijuana with alcohol and other drugs. It's not just driving that we're concerned with. Activities like sports can be challenging. In fact, teens under the influence of marijuana can get seriously injured. Simply put, whatever it is you're trying to do, driving, playing a sport, even walking down the street, you're not going to be able to do as well under the influence of marijuana as you would sober.
So the testimony in that video that was showed is one of the things that we try to be realistic with teens. Almost every teen can tell a story about someone that they know who have smoked or someone they know that is addicted to marijuana. And we want to hear from them. So as we show that video, which will be for SAD, the prior video that we showed was similar to this. We bring the realization that this is not the first time that they've heard about marijuana. We all have either known someone or can speak about someone, or it may be happening in households. So we talk about how and why we are expressing that driving under the influence of anything is not just dangerous, but can be deadly. In addition to that, we emphasize that driving is one of the most dangerous tasks that anyone can do. It can also impair a driver's estimation of time and distance and can cause problems with divided attention. It diminishes the brain's ability to process sensory information. And once again, it requires a driver's undivided attention. We bring props, which is the steering column, and remind them of the recommended hand positioning while driving. While in addition, we emphasize that we want you to keep your eyes and your mind on the task of driving. And whether it's marijuana, prescription medications, or even drowsy driving, all of them will have the same reaction. Next slide, please. Now, this is one of my favorites because in the Shifting Gears presentation, I believe it's either the 6th or 7th slide, and I go on to talk about the useful field of vision. I talk about when I drive into the school or to the event that I was able to utilize my peripheral vision. I was able to make sure that I'm paying attention and that all of my view was utilized. The brain is not able to process or react to visual hazards, which are present on the roadways. And I explained that it takes the brain longer to translate information into action. Next slide, please. This is one of my favorite videos. It is one that talks about the driver that's impaired, the passenger who will be affected, in addition to the pedestrian who, in this case, gets out of the way in the nick of time. Teenagers kind of call mixing marijuana and alcohol crossfading. And we explain that it's called synergism. And what Jake is doing right now is not crossfading, because they can say, what is it called when you mix alcohol and marijuana? And they're quick to raise their hand and say it's crossing or crossfading. And here is where we educate that the proper term for what Jake is doing is called synergism. So we'll watch this and then we'll speak afterwards.
Jake! I'm sorry.
Right there, Shawnee. If you go back to at the end where Jake realized that it could have been something different, I always say to the team, just look at the behavior and the facial expressions of the driver. Because we explain that when you are impaired, you're either going to be overly relaxed or you're gonna be anxious or be paranoid. And Jake is overly relaxed. So this is the time that we are able to educate on the school bus driver. You know, we say to passengers, pay attention to who's driving you. And that if the driver is impaired and hits a tree, you're in the same car. You're gonna be in the same crash. So this is one of my most favorite videos because the pedestrian was able to get out of the way, but the passenger is in the car with the driver who has his eyes half closed and has experienced the synergism, in which I explain is what the teen is calling crossfading. Next slide, please. Now, we don't just do all of the talking, ladies and gentlemen. When we come in your classroom, we are equipped with activities that would not just tell you what we're trying to explain, we show you as well. And they like to participate. We do Blackboard presentations, we have pen demonstrations, in addition to our goggles that explain how difficult it is to drive stone. Almost every teen likes to be called upon, and that's what we do. After they experience this demonstration, afterwards, I've had several teens, come up and say, you know what, that was, a really good demonstration, mainly because we involved them. So we like this goggle demonstration. We also like to show what it's like before they put the goggles on versus what happens when they put the goggles on and are asked to do the task of finding the correct color ball. In this case, we asked teens to only take out the black balls that they seen in this green basket. And as you can see, everybody picked out red balls. Next slide, please. Now, as I reiterate, we don't always do all of the talking. We have that the brain is still under development and is not fully developed until at least 25. So if we were virtual, we would have teens put in the chat what the video talked about: memory, mood, and motivation. If we were in person, we would call upon 3 of the students and ask them to come up afterwards to explain what the video talked about with memory, mood, and motivation. This video is about 9 minutes. The whole presentation can be 45 minutes to 90 minutes. We tailor to classroom schedule. So if your classes are 45 minutes, then this presentation will be that. We pick the most crucial slides, which they all are. But in my opinion, I would show this slide because it talks about marijuana and the teenage brain. Next slide, please. And as we talk about marijuana and the teenage brain, we are also on the topic of brain development, in which we highlight the concept of the executive function, and which is, how we organize and plan and focus and problem solve, goal setting, and daily activities. Here we conduct another activity with the goggles, and in this exercise, students complete a maze. Now, this is one of Shani's favorites. We conduct a maze that is styled in gray and red, and they are asked to complete the maze timed, once sober, and then again paired. Both times they are told that they can go through the gray, but not the red. So these student activities are beneficial, and it includes the student. And that's definitely what we want to do. We don't want to just do all of the talking. We want to be able to involve them. So we also want to know from the team. We ask them to kind of like play the roles. And we ask them to show us, what does an impaired driver look like? And then they come up and they start stumbling, or, they give their illustration on what a drunk driver would look like. Then we ask them, all right, so we already know that this is not our first rodeo or our first time hearing about stone driving. What does that look like? And they show that, and it's really the same. It's the same body language, it's the same stamina, and it proves our point in what Shani said earlier about you're going to hear all of what, is involved with drunk driving, but what about stoned driving? So this presentation, once again, can be tailored to classroom, a bell schedule. It is one of the most popular presentations that we have. I am one of the most animated presenters. I definitely enjoy presenting this because I too know a lot of teens that have verbalized, nah, it's no big deal. It's from the earth. Well, if it's medicine, then how can it be dangerous? And we say you wouldn't drive stoned or drunk, and you wouldn't drive overly medicated. So if it's for you for medicine, we explain about the medicinal components of it. Driving under the influence of anything is not only dangerous, but can be deadly. I'm going to shift things back to Shani as we wrap things up about shifting gears and the blunt truth.
So Roz, I just want to touch on the maze that you were talking about. Yes, it's absolutely one of my favorite activities because you are asking the students to do this maze one time completely sober. So they're not wearing the goggles. Then they put the goggles on. You flip the maze over. It is the exact same maze. There is no trickery involved. And the kids are always like, oh, I got this. It's muscle memory. I memorized it. And then when they actually do the maze, they're like, wait a second, I just did this maze. How come? And we explain that that's your brain unable to make those decisions and to process information. So yeah, that's the two student activities are my favorite. And then as far as it fitting into class schedules, I've done this presentation in as little as 35 minutes and as much as 88, I think. So it really we are very flexible and we will make sure that it flows with the school schedule. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the toxicology and the science of cannabis, because we don't just talk about the effects of it, but we kind of talk about what is it? Why is it dangerous to drive on? So a lot of students don't understand the difference between CBD and THC. So CBD is the calming part of the plant that's extracted, whereas THC is the chemical that's responsible for the high. So it's the tetrahydrocannabinol. And I have had several students, when I ask them to define THC, they say it's the high chemical. And I cannot tell them they're wrong because that's exactly right. So I said, if you can't remember tetrahydrocannabinol, you can just say it's the high chemical. So we want to make sure that they understand that it's depending on the way that you ingest marijuana and THC. And I say ingest it because you can smoke it, you can vape it, and you can also eat it. So depending on the level, the method of consumption and, how often you're doing it, the THC can be as high as 97%. When our parents were smoking marijuana in the 60s, it was like 3 to 4% THC. So we're dealing with a completely different drug than was around before. And we also remind the students that unless the drug is purchased from a regulated dispensary, the level of THC, but also anything else that may be mixed with it, is unknown to the user. Right? So you don't know what you're getting if you get it, down the street or you get it from your friends. We also remind the kids that it is legal, but it is legal for adult use. So it's 21 and older, just like alcohol. They aren't actually, it's not legal for them. And for all drivers, it's illegal to drive on the substance. So we often are asked, how long does it take for the THC to come out of your system? And we can't give you an accurate answer because there's so much difference in how it's absorbed by the body than alcohol. So we talk about how alcohol is absorbed by the body and how THC is absorbed by the body. So this fits really nicely when you're in driver's ed classes to do with the alcohol unit or the drugs unit. So we explain that alcohol is water soluble. It's circulated in the blood and it's evenly distributed throughout the body. Yes, it differs in the height and the weight and the amount of drink and what you drank. But for the most part, it's coming out of your system within 24 to 48 hours. Well, we talk about how THC is fat soluble. So when it's in the bloodstream, it's active and that's when you're actually high, but that it does still stick around a lot longer. So we don't talk about it just from a driving perspective, but also how having THC in your system can complicate things for you when it's still in your system a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later. We want to make sure that they understand that it can have implications for school. It can have implications for sports teams and for jobs. If you get tested for THC and they have a blanket no THC policy, even if you smoked it 2 weeks ago, it's still in your system. So that can impact your future. We also talk about determining impairment and how police officers are able to identify drug impaired drivers. So whenever possible, we actually try to have a police officer or a DRE in the classroom. So we talk about how a alcohol impaired driver would be examined. They would do an ALCO test, which we commonly know as a breathalyzer, or they would do a standard field sobriety test. And how there's no 0.08, if you will, for marijuana. So we talk about the importance of a DRE, or a drug recognition expert, who is a specially trained police officer that is trained to look for the specific impairments, not only of marijuana, but 6 other different categories of drugs. And I like, again, this one, we try to have a DRE in the room because they can handle enforcement questions. They can expand on what a DRE actually does, what the training is involved, the state laws, and also they can share some real world experiences with the kids about drug impaired drivers. We also provide physical effects of cannabis. So we remind the students that impairment is going to look different person to person, but these are the most common characteristics of a drug impaired driver, of a marijuana impaired driver, I should say, and that these are the things that a DRE is trained to look for. So I always ask the kids, what's the scariest thing up here for you? And usually they'll say drowsiness. Drowsy driving is very bad, absolutely. Usually a kid will say it's the altered time and space perception. And I'm like, excellent. That is definitely probably one that scares me a lot, not knowing how fast you're going, how far away you are from another object. And I also remind them that all of these other things, the tremors, the pupils, the eyes, the blood pressure, and the heart rate, that's all stuff that they can't fake. And I say, those are the things that police officers are looking for. When we can't have a DRE in the room, we do have a video of a DRE from New York who will basically reinforce this slide and tell them exactly what a DRE is looking for when they're on the road. So finally, and most important, I mentioned, we lead students to develop a realistic plan to, in the future, only ride with a sober driver, and for themselves to only drive sober. So we ask them to look at their gear shift, and we ask them to let that remind them of what to do. So P, you're going to want to plan ahead. Make a plan before you go out. All right. Know how you're getting home, or if you're not getting home, stay over at your friend's house. R, when it's time to go, when someone says, okay, I can drive us home, make sure you review that plan and you say, you know what? No, you can't drive us home. Let's stay here, or let's call an Uber or whatever. And never allow impaired driving. So you can say, all right, I'm not going to ride with you because you're impaired, but we want them to go a step further and don't allow that person to drive impaired. And then D, we want to make sure that they know the concept of a designated driver. Are they sober? Can they be the designated driver? Are they safe to drive? Or is it S? Is it someone else? Okay. So we also ask them to, what are some considerations? How else would you get home? And usually the students, the first thing they say is call Uber or Lyft. And I remind them that I'm not old, but when I was younger, we didn't have Uber and Lyft. And so we always fall back on the public transportation aspect. We want to make sure that they can call someone that they trust for a ride, whether it's a family member, a parent, or a friend. And we tell them not to be afraid to involve their parents, because the parents are going to ultimately respect their decision to call them or to let them know they got in trouble. And it's much better than I tell the kids, your parents would rather you call them at 3 o'clock in the morning than a police officer knock on their door at 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, they're going to be mad at you for sure, right? But they're going to respect your decision, and they're eventually, maybe blow it off steam a couple days, talk about it, talk about went wrong, but don't be afraid to involve the parents. Again, plan B, if you're going out and your friend's like, man, I had a tough week, and they want to do something, like Ross said, we're not trying to tell you not to do it. We're trying to tell you not, because we know kids are doing these things. We're trying to tell you not to drive after doing it. So your friend wants to drink, let them, but you be the designated driver. You be the one that's responsible for getting yourselves home. And ultimately, if everybody is wasted, stay where you are. A good friend will let you stay where you are. The point is, always have a plan. Okay. So I mentioned earlier, it's very important to the integrity of the program to understand what students are getting out of the session. So we do these pre and post surveys, and we have found that we are making some kind of a difference. So if you look at this slide, we're asking if if marijuana affects a person's reaction time. I mean, honestly, significantly impairs, moderately impairs. We're seeing about 90% of students that are saying it impairs your reaction time, which is great. After the program, we're seeing closer to 97, 98% that are saying yes. So that indicates that they went into this thinking, oh, it doesn't really bother our reaction time. But coming out of it, they're like, ooh, you know what? It actually does. On this slide, we've got, do you think it impacts the driver's ability to think quickly or focus? Again, 80% of students think it does, which is great to begin with, but we've increased that 10 percentage points. So it's 90% now are saying, yes, it does think our ability to adjust our focus quickly and ability to think. Also, we see the number of students saying no going down post-presentation versus before. So we are very confident when we go into these classrooms that we're going to deliver a program that isn't just going to fall flat. It's going to eventually drive an attitudinal shift, and it gives us the confidence to know that some of these beliefs are changing based on the program delivery. All right, so AAA Northeast developed this program, and we have this that we do in Bergen, Hudson, Essex, Morris. I have to do it alphabetically or I forget. Bergen, Essex, Hudson, Morris, Passaic, and Union counties. Those are where we do where AAA Northeast staff will conduct the program. If you are outside of these counties, please don't worry, you can still have shifting gears. So Roz touched on it a little bit earlier. We did actually recently enter into a partnership with SAD National, and they are going to assist us in expanding this program across the country using a peer-to-peer approach. So if you have a SAD chapter at your school, you can definitely engage the chapter. This is a QR code that you can feel free to scan, and that will take you to a Dropbox that has all of the materials you need to conduct shifting gears at your school. If you reach out to Roz and I, then we can also help you identify your SAD chapter, or if you're interested in starting a SAD chapter, we can help identify the leadership for the Northeast area. And really, we want to make sure that we can make this program available outside of this 5-state territory in northern New Jersey, in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. So feel free to reach out. I will include this Dropbox QR code in the materials that are sent out post-program. And then if you want to book a presentation, you can visit AAA.com Shifting Gears to request a presentation at your school. You are probably only going to be able to access this link if you are in one of those 6 counties I mentioned. But if you just want help identifying how to do the program in your school, I would say just use 07470 as the zip code when you go to the website, because you will get probably a page that says to put in your zip code. And that's our office zip code. You can use that. And that will take you, there's a form on there that you can submit, and it asks, where are you located? When do you want us to come in? What time of day works best for you? We are more than willing to come and spend a whole day in your school. We can break it up. I think last year I went to Columbia High School 7 times to conduct all of the programs. And I know coming up this year, I think there's one whole week I'm going to be in Scotch Plains the whole week. So we are definitely willing to do whatever it takes to get this important message out there. And then I think Roz wanted to say a little something just about the program in schools. Roz, you're muted.
I'm going to elaborate more about the SAD chapters. As early as tomorrow, I'm going to be joining my teammate in New York City as we present to the SAD chapters in New York City. So we know that it is going to be a great partnership with the SAD chapters. And tomorrow, I think JC Good, Pam O'Donnell, they too will be a part of this presentation. I say that to say, in collaboration with SAD, if you have a traffic safety squad at your school, we too would be honored to come and help out or lend support to that. We start as early as 7 in the morning. You know, Shani mentioned, you know, being able to stay a whole week. I'm a marathon girl. I'll stay in your school all day long and knock it out in one day. In addition to that, we know that this program is saving lives. It is educating. Don't forget that we have other programs in addition. The Dangers of Distracted Driving is very popular at the end of the school season. And we just want to work with you. Don't forget that this is just not for driver's ed, health educators. This too can be a part of your school year. Feel free to contact us. Go to the website, Shifting Gears, AAA.com/Shifting Gears. In addition to community, take advantage of all of this free stuff. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to present.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for allowing us to present today.
Oh, okay, guys. Thank you very much. That was an awesome presentation. I plan on using you guys this year as well. It's been great having you. A lot of tremendous important information. So I definitely would recommend this to all of our driver ed community, you know, as well as health education teachers. It's all there to be utilized. And I just want to say thank you again for presenting, Roz and Shani. And if you guys do have any questions, you can post them in the chat. Or do we have any extra time left here, guys, before we move on?
Well, it is 10:20 and we did have a scheduled break, but I did want to, I think, Raj, you might have answered this question. Somebody said, do they have to have their own DRE, or would you be able, or do they get one from their township for the drug recognition expert?
If they have a DRE, sorry, Raj, if they have a DRE, that would be great. I've done it with just the school resource officer.
Okay.
So if the school resource officer's in the schools and can step in, and they can expand on what the DRE is, because even if they aren't one, they know what the guys in their department go through to become a DRE, but they can definitely handle those real world questions. But any questions about law enforcement, they will answer that. So usually I'll use the SRO. I've had just the community policing officer or the traffic safety officer available to come in if they are. We were in Summit in May, and we had Sergeant Daly, who's the traffic supervisor. He came in one day and he talked to all the kids, and it really is based on their schedule and stuff like that. But yeah, we would use the SRO, or if they have a DRE, great. Not every department has one.
All right, there's a question. If you could please repeat the counties that you would actually do this presentation in New Jersey.
I can also put them in the chat, but it's Bergen. Yeah, it's Bergen, Essex, Hudson, Morris, Passaic, and Union.
Bergen, Essex, Morris, Union.
Jill, I just wanted to mention one further thing. We too have a driver education award in which, at the end of the year, for those that, scored a perfect 100 or did very well in their driver ed class, we reward the driver with a plaque at the end of the year. It could be at the graduations or at award ceremonies, and it really makes helps the team feel that they really did a great job. Our latest award went to Immaculate Heart Conception, and we are proud to give out that award. So for further information on that, feel free to contact us.
Actually, Roz, I'm going to ask you for that, and then I'll include that in our next driver education update. All right, so folks, we have a break from 10:20 to 10:30. So if you need to sign off, grab some coffee, visit any room, you are welcome to do so. I want to thank so much Roz and Shani for this presentation, as Brad already did. Excellent information, and folks, get them in your school.
Thank you.
All right, there's another question that came through. Sorry if I can keep you ladies on for a second. They're asking, so how could South Jersey and the other counties get that? That would be through the SAD, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So we'll be able to provide them with information about that as well. All right, awesome. All right, folks, if you want to take a break, go for it. If you want to hang for the next 10 minutes, but then at 10:30, we will be starting with the New Jersey Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center and NJ Bike and Walk Coalition. So take some time to yourselves if you need it. But if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or comments. All right. Thank you, Shani and Roz again. Hi, Lenny.
You're very welcome.
How you doing, Jill?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good, thank you. Thank you, Roz and Shani, for that presentation. Lenny Parham, Department of Education here in New Jersey. I appreciate you sharing that with our educators. Much needed information. Thank you. Jill, do you have a the SAD contact?
The SAD contact for the Northeast is Lauren Zimmerman Mead.
You have an email or anything for her?
Yeah, I just have to pull it up. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, take your time. That'd be great.
I put Lauren's contact information in the chat, but it's lmeade, M-E-A-D-E, at sad.org.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
All right, so Shani, she would be the information for also then those schools in the South Jersey to contact?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to make sure I copy her information so that I have it.
Okay. I'll include, I will throw up a slide that has her information on it as well. And I'll send this out. I'll send this to you as a PDF that you can share with.
That would be excellent. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
This is going to be the longest driver education update I think we've ever done.
I also have, I know I worked, I think it was Brad, you handled the website with all the resources, right?
Well, basically that was Jill, because we put it together, but she's usually the one that actually sends it out.
Okay. I had put up some brochures. I put up the distracted driving, teen driving, all that kind of stuff. And we now have those in Spanish. So I'm going to add those to the website, or I'll send them to you.
That would be great. Literally.
Yep. Yeah, we went and made about 5 of our traffic safety brochures. We translated them into Spanish.
Great.
What is that coming up as a
We'd be able to put that on the update, right, Jill?
I'm sorry, Brad, say that again. I was trying to copy what Shani was doing. I was trying to copy and paste it into a Google Doc, but it's only giving me a Bitly. So say that again, please.
Shani said that they have the program, they made up a flyer type of thing that's also available in Spanish. And I was just saying you would be able to put that in an update, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. All right. Let me see if this is going to work. I can get all this. Oh, it's worked. Is that from? All right. Paul, are you on here? You're sending me a message. I want to just make sure we can get all that information.
Yep, I am on. Thank you. And
Okay.
I'm able to add something to the chat now.
Awesome. Good. All right. Just wanted to get that cleared up. Oh, and also when we were from the other day, you asked about when Carol sent out the FYI on Monday. I did see that there was a page in there that talked about the bike.
Friendly driver.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it because I have it pulled up on another thing here. Actually, there were a couple of things there, but all right, did I just pass it? Because I remember flipping through it after I saw it and I was like, oh, you had asked if it was there, and it was definitely, yeah, bike friendly driver training.
Yes.
At 7 to 8 p.m. fourth Wednesday of the month.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So that was included on page 8 of the Shape NJ FYI that was sent out on Monday.
Oh, great.
So that's there, but we can certainly make sure that we then highlight that in the next update as well.
Super. Thank you.
No problem.
Mike, so I don't get it wrong. How do we say your last name?
Paul. Mikowitz. That's all right. I get that all the time. Paul Mikowitz.
Mikowitz.
Kind of like Mickey Mouse, Mikowitz.
All right, Brad, I have 10:30 a.m., sir, so you're up.
Hey. All right, so welcome back, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the third session for today. I'm happy to welcome the New Jersey Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center, for also Rutgers University and NJ Bike and Walk Coalition. Presenters are Sam Rosenthal and Paul Mikowitz. And the title is A Right to the Road, New Jersey's New Safe Passing Law. So with that, you guys can take it away.
Thanks, Brad. Hi, everyone. Can everyone see my screen, first of all? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, great. Good morning. Thanks for joining. My name is Sam Rosenthal, and I'm a research project coordinator at the New Jersey Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center, which is part of the Voorhees Transportation Center at Rutgers University. I'm joined today by Paul Mikowitz from the New Jersey Bike and Walk Coalition. Paul, do you just want to say hi real quick?
Sure. Yes. Hi, this is Paul. Not Edwin, Paul.
Thanks. So today's presentation will provide an overview of New Jersey's new safe passing law, which went into effect on March 1st of this year. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the New Jersey Department of Transportation and the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety, both of whom are funding coordination efforts related to the law, as well as the many partner organizations who have offered their time and expertise to assist in these efforts. I would also like to recognize the New Jersey Bike and Walk Coalition and specifically the team for NJ Safe Passing Law, whose dedication and years of hard work were instrumental in the passage of this law. So the New Jersey Safe Passing Law was signed into law in August of 2021 and has been in effect since March 1st, 2022. The law provides clear rules of the road for all motorists when interacting with vulnerable road users, which means people traveling on foot, bicycle, scooter, in a wheelchair, or otherwise not in a car, bus, or truck. It requires drivers to whenever they enter vulnerable road. First, follow all current no passing and no speeding laws and must move over a lane if there's one to move into. Second, on a single lane road, when it's not possible to change lanes, drivers must allow 4 feet of space when they pass. And if 4 feet is not possible, drivers must slow to 25 miles per hour and be prepared to stop until they can pass safely without endangering those sharing the road. So what does safe passing look like in practice? Rather than maintaining speed and attempting to squeeze past vulnerable road users, like people on bicycle scooters, on foot, or in wheelchairs, drivers must leave at least 4 feet of distance. In other words, drivers need to provide enough space that if someone falls while being passed, they won't be hit by a passing vehicle. As they approach, drivers should slow down to 25 miles per hour and wait for an opportunity to pass safely and with enough space. Drivers should be patient and cautious. Close passes can be deadly, and a life is worth more than the few moments it takes to wait. Drivers should also refrain from yelling or honking their horn. Vulnerable road users have a right to use public roads, and car horns can be very loud to those outside a vehicle, which may startle them, causing them to swerve or fall. So why is this law essential? At its core, the safe passing law aims to prevent the near misses, injuries, and deaths that can occur when motorists pass cyclists, pedestrians, or other vulnerable road users. As you may know, 2021 was the deadliest year on New Jersey's roads in 14 years for drivers and the deadliest in 30 years for vulnerable road users. Last year, 699 people were killed on the roads in our state, which was the highest number since 2007. While driver and passenger fatalities increased by 16% from the previous year, pedestrian fatalities went up 22% and cyclist fatalities went up 50%. Laws like this safe passing law can contribute to a cultural shift towards safer travel habits by establishing, first, a right to the road for people on foot, wheelchair, bicycle, scooter, or other micromobility device as legitimate road users. Second, a responsibility for those driving fast, heavy vehicles to be cautious around vulnerable road users who could be their friends, family, or neighbors. And finally, a standard buffer of 4 feet, increasing road users' level of comfort and safety. This can encourage more people to feel comfortable walking or riding a bike or scooter, since being hit by a motorist from behind is one of the top fears for those who do not regularly use active transportation modes. Now, to provide some further clarification about the law, I'm going to run through some frequently asked questions that we've been getting about the law. So the first question is it really that big of a deal for a driver to hurry up and squeeze by someone sharing the road? The answer is yes. Every day, people experience risky passes that leave no margin for error, sometimes with fatal consequences. The next question is, how will police enforce the law? The answer, the first step is direct education given to drivers who violate the law. The safe passing law joins the move over law and the stop and stay stopped law in New Jersey in providing police officers with a specific citation to issue for unsafe driving. Next is the penalty driver follow saving law. The answer is driver will receive a $100 fine for violating the law, which goes up to $500 if bodily injury is caused, and 2 points on their driving record. Next, how will people learn about the safe passing law? The answer, state agencies and advocacy groups have been working together to spread the word through social media posts, electronic signs, yard signs, news articles, and special events. There are also several web-based resources available, which I will cover in a few minutes. And we're also in the process of drafting an implementation plan that includes recommendations for next steps for continuing to effectively spread awareness about the law. I've sometimes heard this referred to as Oscar's Law. Who was Oscar? Oscar Zanoni was a beloved 44-year-old Metuchen resident, unable to operate a car due to childhood illness. He was well known for riding his electric bicycle everywhere. Tragically, in 2020, he was fatally struck by a tractor trailer while riding his e-bike on Route 27 near Vineyard Road in Edison. And the safe passing law was introduced in his honor by 3 lawmakers representing New Jersey's 18th legislative district, which includes Metuchen and Edison. Now I'm going to go over a few questions related to how to follow the law. So the first is, what if there isn't enough space on a narrow road to give 4 feet while passing? The answer is if a 4 foot safety zone is not available, drivers must slow to 25 miles per hour and be prepared to stop until they can pass safely without endangering those sharing the road. Next, what if the vulnerable road user is in the shoulder or on a painted bike lane? The answer is slow down to 25 miles per hour, approach with due caution, and move over a lane if possible. Leave 4 feet of space from the person sharing the road, not the painted line on the road. What if the vulnerable road user is in a traffic circle or a roundabout? The answer is slow down, approach with due caution, and yield to the person sharing the circle until it is safe to pass. Question, how do drivers pass a single line of cyclists, runners, or walkers? What if they are traveling 2 abreast? The answer, first, cyclists may legally take the full lane for their own safety. They can also legally ride 2 abreast as far to the right as is practicable, providing that they do not impede traffic. Second, slow down, approach with due caution, and yield until it is safe to pass every person in the group with 4 feet of space. And finally, only move back into the lane when safely beyond the front of the group. Do not cut off the group to make a turn in front of them. So the new safe passing law works together with other New Jersey road safety laws, as I mentioned, including the slow down, move over law and the stop and stay stopped law. The slow down and move over law requires motorists approaching authorized vehicles with emergency lights flashing to slow down or move over one lane from the incident. It protects essential workers like emergency responders, highway crews, tow truck operators, and others when working along the road, i.e. vulnerable road users. In a sense, the safe passing law essentially expands the scope of the move over law to cover even more types of vulnerable road users. The safe passing law also uses similar logic and language to the stop and stay stopped law, which requires drivers to stop when pedestrians are crossing a marked crosswalk in an intersection and yield to pedestrians crossing at unmarked crosswalks in intersections. It, quote, reinforces the importance of pedestrians using crosswalks, their safety zone, and for motorists to recognize that when approaching crosswalks, they must be alert for pedestrians. All 3 of these laws, the safe passing law, the move over law, and the stop and stay stop law, establish a right to space for vulnerable road users, as well as a responsibility on the part of drivers of heavier, faster vehicles to exercise due caution around road users with less protection. Thanks to the enthusiastic support and outreach efforts from the New Jersey Department of Transportation, the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety, and others, these laws were great successes. These new laws show that New Jersey is working continuously to address and reduce road fatalities. The safe passing law builds on the success of these existing New Jersey road safety laws by expanding protections for vulnerable road users. And as laws like this get passed, there will be a growing recognition and awareness among the general public about vulnerable road users, contributing to safer driver behaviors when sharing the road with other users. To wrap up, I'm going to mention a few resources that provide information on the safe passing law. To start, the New Jersey Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center has a new webpage on the safe passing law, which includes a slide presentation similar to this one, as well as a fact sheet and a list of frequently asked questions about the law, some of which I covered earlier in this presentation. In addition, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center provides opportunities for the public to send in questions about the law by emailing our help desk at bikeped@ejb.rutgers.edu. And after this presentation, I'm going to post all of these links I'm talking about in the chat. The Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center webpage also includes a link to a video produced by the New Jersey Safe Routes Resource Center on how to safely pass a person riding a bicycle. If you have questions about what safe passing looks like, I recommend checking out this video. I'll also note that a new video geared specifically toward the safe passing law is also in process. And at the end of this presentation, I'll post links in the chat for both the NJ Walks and Bikes and the NJ Safe Routes newsletters, where you can sign up to get notified when this video becomes available later this summer. In addition to these resources, the New Jersey Bike and Walk Coalition has created a comprehensive Safe Passing Law Resource Center, which provides the latest news and press releases, details about the law, social media toolkit, and other downloadable graphics, images, and resources. You can visit the Safe Passing Law Resource Center at njbwc.org/safepass4nj. And I highly encourage all of you to look through the information and outreach materials that are included in the Resource Center and to share these materials widely. The NJ Bike and Walk Coalition has also created a Google form to collect contact information from those who are interested in receiving updates about the availability of outreach materials as more and more get produced. The form also allows people to submit information about any rides or other events being hosted that may provide an opportunity to raise awareness about the law. If you're interested in receiving information about materials or submitting information about events, or both, please fill out the form so you can coordinate with the Bike and Walk Coalition. The form, I'll post a link in chat at the end of the presentation, but the form can also be found under the Resource Center's How You Can Help page. Also available on this website is the Safe Passing Pledge. By signing the pledge, you agree to support safe passing by slowing down, moving over, and passing vulnerable road users safely with room to spare. You also agree by signing the pledge to tell friends and family about the law and encourage them to pass safely as well. After signing the pledge, you are asked to please share via email, newsletters, or social media. So thank you again for attending. I'd like to once again thank our funders at the New Jersey Department of Transportation and the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety. If you have any questions, here's the contact information for both the Bicycle and Pedestrian Resource Center at VTC and the New Jersey Bike and Walk Coalition. And I believe we still have some time left for Q&A. So we can use that time for that. Thank you.
And Sam, if I may, team, I put in the chat just a little information. There is a training called the Bike Friendly Driver. It's actually directed to drivers of motor vehicles, not cyclists, but it helps to explain and help motorists understand cyclist behavior and why they might do the things they do, both good and bad. And it's, please contact me if you're interested in having me, hosting me as a guest speaker in a class. I'd be happy to join you to give you an overview of those resources. It would be fun. And we really appreciate the opportunity here to talk about the safe passing law. And my information's in the chat about getting bumper stickers also. So I'd be happy to mail you, snail mail you a bumper sticker about the safe passing law and help spread the word.
Okay. If anybody has any questions, you can feel free to ask now.
I have one.
Yes.
I know that the manual is online. The new manual is online. I haven't looked at it yet, but was it mandated that this information about this new law be put in the manual?
I will say there are.
I'm sorry, when I say the manual, I mean the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission Driver Ed Manual.
So as I mentioned, we are working on an implementation plan that makes recommendations because there are not only the driver's manual, but there are so many other guides and manuals out there that this new law impacts information-wise. This plan will include recommended language that can be added to the driver's manual as well as all these other manuals out there. So as far as
I think as an educator and a person who, and I think most of us are very, very informed about what's exactly in that manual page by page, there is a section about the move over laws, exclusively about the move over law. I think it would be the perfect place to put this information so that all new drivers have access to this information and are aware of it as soon as they hit the road. I think this is a great law. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'll have to double check the what the current status of the plan is, and where it's recommending that is put in. But again, like, because we are not in charge of writing the manual or making edits to the manual, we can only recommend changes without having the authority to actually implement them. But I will make a note of that and make sure that's in our recommendations.
Okay, again, I don't know all the legal parts. Maybe Rodell, maybe you could help out with this. But I know in the past, there's been legislation where certain topics must be in the manual and certain topics must be on the driver ed exam. So, that might be something that your organization looks at for the future.
That's on the list.
Definitely.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions they'd like to ask at this time? I don't see anything. If you do have any questions, guys, once again, you can post your question in the chat and we will get you the answer that you need.
And I just want to say real quick, I just posted a bunch of links in the chat. These are all things that I mentioned in the presentation, but I recommend checking these out. All these links have lots of great information. And if you do happen to have any questions, you might be able to find the answers here. So thank you.
And thank you. I'm already receiving some emails requesting bumper stickers and info. So very good. Thank you.
Okay, very good.
No.
Right, so
go ahead, Brad, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, turn it over to you, Jill, for the next presentation.
Okay. All right. Well, there's a question in the chat, and maybe I can throw this out to Rodell. It says, will that be on the exam since it is not in the manual? I know kids are going to ask about the new law that was just discussed.
I apologize. I'm just coming in. If you can send me that question in an email.
I will definitely do that. All right. Sorry to put you on the spot there.
Okay, I'm like, wait a minute.
All right. So Miss Rodell, we have a little extra time since we're ready to go. Are you good to go 10 minutes early?
I'm not sure. Is the rest of my team here yet? I know they were coming on board.
Here.
There's Kim.
If you need me to wait a few minutes, I can digress and do my closing statements now.
No, I'm good. I'm ready to go.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't even see Kim. I'm sorry. Hey, Kim.
Yeah, sorry. I just jumped on. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who do not know me, my name is.
Should I rinse out the trash bin in here, dump it and rinse it?
Oh, okay.
You open it?
Well,
probably.
It's splashed, yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to talk over the trash bin and, we'll see what we get. My name is Kim Giovanni, and I'm the Deputy Administrator for Agency Operations at the Motor Vehicle Commission. Joining me today, you all know Rodell. Also, Director Jim Ferguson, Shakina Ellis, and Dave Orfeo have also joined me. I'm not going to take up much time today since Rodell has a robust presentation planned for you all. I just wanted to take a few minutes to thank the staff from NBC who have all worked so hard on the DARTS web testing rollout. This past school year, they've rolled out 665 high schools across the state, which is pretty significant. Rodell has held countless training sessions with many of you in an effort to make this migration successful. Jim, Rodell, and Dave have all worked very hard behind the scenes to address system issues that you may have had and to request enhancements to make this system more user-friendly. This was no easy task, so I just wanted to commend my staff here at the Motor Vehicle Commission for a job well done. I also would be remiss if I did not give a huge shout out to our SHAPE NJ partner, Jill Fackelman, who has spent countless hours and hard work in communicating with us and communicating with you teachers and getting our messaging out to make this as successful as possible. So again, thank you, Jill. Thank you, staff. This is a great thing. And I'm going to turn it over to Rodell right now. Since we only have 15 minutes, I feel that you guys are going to have some questions and Rodell can provide you with some additional information. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Kim, and hello, everyone. So before we get started, Jill, I'm sorry, Dan Buchanan from Business Licensing and Dave from who's our IT specialist, project manager on this, they're waiting to be let in.
Okay, I guess that would be Ellen or.
I'm sorry, Ellen. I'm not sure who's gatekeeping this.
But they didn't hear me thank them. We'll have to listen to the recording.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So you're saying, Rodell, they're still waiting to be let in?
Right. So Dave just said, I'm waiting to be let in the conference.
They're in.
Okay.
They're in.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. So hello, everyone. Welcome. Hope you guys had a great day so far. We're going to go ahead and jump into it because it's a lot of information. Okay. I believe, Jill, everyone's going to kind of hold their questions to the end, correct?
Yes, I was just going to preface before you got started, as we did in the earlier sessions, is if just any questions, please post them in the chat. Brad and I will be, looking to see if there are specific themes that are coming across. If we can answer them in the chat, we will. In addition, and then there should be time at the end for people if they want to ask specific questions, raise your hand. I guess more general question than specific questions like SDI stuff, that kind of stuff, they should email, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So then thank you to you and your team for being here, and then we will turn it over to you.
Okay, perfect. Hello, everyone again. So everyone by now should have received a packet. I physically sent them snail mail to your schools, as well as I emailed everyone who I have an email address for. If you have not received the packet, no worries. Just send me an email at the conclusion of this, and I'll go ahead and I'll send it over to you, okay? Within the packet, there were about 5 or 6 PDFs that in great detail outlined this entire process. So while I do not mind providing assistance, I really want you guys to really take the opportunity and really look over that packet, okay? So I'm going to share the screen with you. And what I want to show you is this right here. So in addition to the 5, in addition to all the PDFs, I kind of consolidated and made a quick reference guide. With this quick reference guide, you'll find the 2 URLs for login for you as a teacher and as a student. And then it also talks about different information that's very important and relevant to this, okay? I just want to direct your attention to this, all right? Like I said, if you did not receive it.
Okay.
Okay. So if you did not receive it, like I mentioned earlier, send me an email and I will definitely go ahead and send it to you, okay? Let's go ahead and get started with the program. All right. So when you go and you log in, and some of you might have already seen this before. If you have, congratulations, here's another refresher course. And for those of you that haven't, in addition to this, there's also a video that we have produced that I'm able to send to you as well, okay? So this is your auto test examiner portal. This is your point of entry, all right? Right here in the beginning where it says user ID, your user ID is your SDI number. It's your 6-digit SDI number. All right, it's located on your license. Now, we also have worked with BLS, so only those of you who are renewed are able to access the system. So if you're not renewed, you do need to contact BLS and they will go ahead and renew your license for you, okay? So when you log in, you type in simply your 6-digit SDI number, and then you select having trouble signing in. Once you do that, do you see right here where it says click here to request a reset of your password? You hit that button. You type in your 6-digit SDI number again. Your user ID will never change, all right? And then you type the characters that you see right there in that caption, in that green box, all right? Once you do that, you hit submit. What will happen then is that an email will be generated from us. It will go to you and it will prompt you to change your password, all right? Remember, your user ID never changes. Once you do that, you come back to the screen, you enter in your 6-digit SDI number again, the password that you have created, and then you hit login. All right? Some of you might teach at multiple schools. If you teach at multiple schools, there's going to be a drop down where you select the high school that you're working at that day. If you only teach at one school, you will not have this option. Once you log in, it's going to take you straight to this screen. All right, here. right here next to Service Center where it says Testing Service Center, you'll know that you're in the right place because your high school, your name will be listed right here, okay? So now we're in how you add your students to the program to take this test. So we want you to go on, we want you to learn this program, we want it to be a success. So in order to familiarize yourself with this program, we are giving you the capability to go ahead and like learn it, all right? Sign in and just play around with it. The only thing that we ask is that the last name has to be testing, all right? That's the only way that we can differentiate between a real life student taking the test and you guys going on the program. So do testing and then do some sort of variation of your high school's name, okay? So we're gonna go shape. So shape, testing, and then we're gonna do a date of birth. Now, if you are actually entering in your student, right now, it would be their legal first name, last name, and date of birth. I do know that with changes, you know, that kids can request to be called different things and whatever they would like to identify as, but for motor vehicles, from our standpoint, it has to be what's on their legal documentation, okay? So on their birth certificate. So first name, again, last name, date of birth, and then you go add. It brings you to this screen. Make sure you input the child's middle name because believe it or not, there might be a multiple Brad Cohens in the state of New Jersey. Okay. So first name, last name, let's do the middle name and then the email address. So what happens here is you guys all have been, you all should have returned your blue cards and your disc to your county contact office, okay? The blue cards we are doing away with. All right, so let's talk about a little bit for that. We have actually sent out correspondence to you about this. The ST44 cards, which are the blue cards, we're not using them anymore. They're done away with because the receipt will be generated from this program. So again, with the blue cards, should you find that a student has lost it and needs a duplicate, all right, send me an email. You guys send me the email. I have probably had about close to 100 emails so far from kids and parents that you guys are giving information to. It has to come from you because along with the email, I also need the copy of the right-hand side of the ST44, the blue card that you were supposed to retain. So when a kid needs a duplicate, you're to send me an email with the right side of the ST44 card. And if some of you write like me sometimes, type out the child's name too so I can read it, all right? Make sure it's legible, okay? But back to this. So first name, middle name, last name, date of birth, and their email address, because this is where a web test receipt will be sent to, all right? The web test receipt, like I said, is replacing the blue card. And then you hit save. So right here, another advantage of this program that we're proud to offer.
Freaking idiots.
Belly hurts still? So right here, choose a text language. I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, who's ever not muted, could you please mute? Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So right here, the kids have the ability to take the test in 13 languages. All right, so this is an option. So you'll still be able to provide assistance because no matter what language you select, there will always be a button on the bottom of the screen where you can toggle back and forth between, say, for instance, Spanish and English, okay? I'm gonna select the language so you see what I'm talking about. Now, we're also proud to announce, Dave, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so Dave, that's Dave, he's project manager, IT analyst. We are actually going to deploy audio. We are rolling audio out tomorrow, correct, Dave?
That is correct.
I will also be sending to you then as well tomorrow morning, between tonight and tomorrow morning, instructions on how you can deploy audio for the test. And as a matter of fact, right here, the only difference is, do you see how you register the applicant right here? Let me show you something different, hold on.
And I just want to, just let everyone be aware that, so we're rolling that out tomorrow, but at the end of the day. So really, in reality, it'll be available the day after. So on Friday morning, it'll be available to everybody.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Dave. So right here, as you see, when you're assigning the test to the applicant and you're registering your student, this will be the only difference. Where it says request audio, there's going to be a drop-down box and you select yes. If a child, needs to have the test read aloud to them, okay? So let me go back to where I was. And as well, if a child has an IEP or like a medical 504 and they're unable to take the test, online, not an issue as well. What you would do is send me an email letting me know, approximate date when the student is scheduled to take the test. And then I will send to you a written test. So to do that, I would need the same information that we input in the beginning when we register the student, their name, their date of birth, their full name, date of birth, and then actually what language they would like to take the test in as well, if they would like to take it in one of the 13 languages. And something else to note, before with the blue cards, remember how they expired on the child's 18th birthday? So if you had a child that was like 17 or 18 that still might have been in your school, just a little bit older, they weren't unable to take the test. Now with this system, these test receipts are good for 2 years. So if a child is even 18 or 19 and they're still registered and they're at your high school and they have yet to secure a license and they take driver's ed with you, they are able to take the test with you. Okay, so let's continue. Once you have registered everything, you hit this continue button right here. There's information again, because they really want you to go back and double check and make sure that everything is spelled properly, okay? And then you hit submit. You know that the child was entered successfully because you will have that message right there in green that said applicant was added to test queue successfully. So once you add your student, you then go and you add the rest of your students in one by one, making sure that the name is spelled properly and whatever language they select, and if they do need audio, okay? So with this program, we kind of work across the top with these tabs right here. So the next tab is applicants in queue. Here you will have everyone that is that you registered to take the test, okay? And here we are right here, Shape Jersey testing. The wait time, notate the wait time, it says 0 minutes. All right, we just entered them in. So how this system also works is that when you input a student in, the computer kind of assumes that the student will start to take the test within 24 hours.
Rodell, I'm sorry to disturb you, to interrupt you. I don't know if everybody's seeing Rodell's screen is full. I'm seeing a small one. Is everybody having that problem?
No, it's just you.
Okay, all right, I'll fix it. Sorry.
Problem. Hi, Terry. All right. So when you register, that wait time, so the computer will believe that the student is going to start to take the test within 24 hours. Okay, we kind of work on 24 hours with this portion. Now, if the student does not start the test within 24 hours, once 24 hours lapses right here where wait time, where it says 24 hours, then this extend button will come up. Can you guys see the extend under actions? Do you guys see that extend link right there under actions? I'm sorry, I'm thinking, usually I have a class and you guys are talking back and forth with me, but yeah, so this display ticket, so let's pull up Shape Jersey testing. So this is the display ticket, sorry. You would print this ticket out and give it to your student. It's going to have the student's name right here. Now, note how the ticket number has a hyphen in it and the security code. This is exactly what the student must enter when they go to sign on to take the test. Okay, hold on, let me write this down because I'm not going to print it. All right, so say for instance, Jill, your class is not until next week, but you want to be proactive and register the students today. So you would register your students and then you would print out the display tickets. But of course, 24 hours is going to lapse. So therefore that extend button will populate. So whenever you believe that the child is about to take the test, you hit the extend button. So when you hit the extend button, it kind of activates the test for a 24-hour period. Now, keep in mind, I had questions. Someone thought they had to hit the extend button every 24 hours before the child takes the test. No, when you hit it once, it will activate the test for 24 hours. Okay, let me show you. So this right here for Heather testing, if you hit extend, It's going to ask you, are you sure you want to extend it? You say, okay. And then the display ticket, then the child is ready to go. Okay. So once you have printed the display tickets out for your students, they come into the classroom and this is what they see. Can we all see this? Perfect. Touch the screen to begin. I'm not sure if you guys spoke about this or not, but we definitely do support all Chromebooks, laptops, and if you guys have desktops, our IT department does not support tablets, so iPads won't work. All right, they might work, but you're going to run into issues. I've tried it, and our IT department unfortunately cannot assist you with that. All right, so the child would hit the screen to begin, and here's this test ticket number. So remember, they have to input it in exactly as it is on, the test ticket that you're going to print out for them. Now, right here, depending on your internet and just the child, when they go to hit log in, they should hit it one time and just wait. All right. Now, if the child hits log in and because it doesn't come up right away and hits log in again, it's going to create an error message and it's going to say that testing cannot happen on concurrent computers. So if that happens, just have the child sit down and wait for like about 3 minutes, then they should be able to enter the system, okay? Now remember, so right now this is asking me to select my correct date of birth, but it's in Spanish. No matter what, remember I said, no matter what language you select, there will always be a button on the bottom where you could toggle back and forth in between, sorry guys, hold on. That language in English. Okay, so select your correct date of birth. I don't know why I always put my date out there. Then you select your age. And then it brings you into the applicant agreement. So this, again, it talks about cell phones being turned off. It talks about being an organ donor and the safety pledge. And then we hit continue. Now, this test differs in prior years. You guys, before, you had the capability, the kids would take the test and, they would go through the test, take the test, and hopefully they would hope to get an 80 or higher. With this test, as the child goes through the test and takes the test, each question they submit, it scores it. So therefore, once the child reaches 40 questions correct, the test will stop and it will say they have passed. Likewise, once they input 11 incorrect answers in, the test will stop and it will say they have failed. All right. But the child will see a running tally along the bottom, so they'll always know where they stand. Let me show you. So right here, like I said, let me move this up. Right here will show the question that they're on. And on the bottom is the running tally. So it shows we need 40 to pass, and it shows how many you have correct, how many you have skipped, and how many you have incorrect. Now, the skip option, a child is more than welcome to skip through the questions to kind of see what they're working with, to kind of find maybe the questions they feel more secure in answering. But when you skip through, like you can sit down and skip through the whole test, it's not going to repopulate with 50 additional questions. It's just going to go back to the first question you skipped. Okay. So they literally read the question, they select the answer. Your answer is correct. Sorry guys, I'm on my Mac. And do you see how it did one right there on the bottom? So let's see if we hit one. And do you see how one is incorrect now on the bottom? So like I said, and they're more than welcome to skip through the questions. Okay? Until they see a question they really want to answer. Now, we do have security measures in place. So say, for instance, a child is on this laptop and they're like, you know what? I don't know this answer. I'm going to go to another window and try to Google it. So when they go to another window and try to Google the answer, and then they come back to their test, they're going to get that auto test is no longer the active window. It's a violation of security policy to switch windows during the test, and it might result in an automatic test failure. Please see the proctor for assistance. All right. So your test has been suspended. Please see the examiner for assistance. So then they will come and see you, the teacher. Now, the next queue over is managed test. So everyone that's taking the test right then and there will be listed under this queue. And then that's actually when we would do just that. We would manage them. All right. So first thing that you would hit, do you see under actions, do you see the resume button? You would hit resume. And then you just have to discern between whether or not you believe that that child was really made a mistake. Were they cheating, you know, whatever. So if you feel like that they were cheating and you do want to fail them for that, you go over here where it says cancel and select the cancel reason, caught cheating. Okay. Now, same policies as before. If a child fails a test or is caught cheating, we ask that they wait at least a week prior to retaking the test. Okay. But if you feel like the child just made a mistake, which happens, like I said, you just hit the resume button, which we already did, and you just tell them to go have a seat. So when you hit the resume button, it's going to start their test again, unless you hit the resume button and then you cancel it. So when the child goes back to their desktop, their laptop or Chromebook, they're going to have this continue button now, and they hit continue, and then they go through, and then they continue just taking a test. Okay. Now, because we need 40 required to pass, I'm not going to go all the way through and show you what will happen in the end. But what I am going to show you is, where's the screenshot right here? Thanks, Dave. If and when the child does pass, this is what will happen. The test will stop, and it's going to tell them right there, pass, congratulations, you have passed your exam. All right. So what has happening lately is that kids, when they get to this point, they're excited. They literally reach up and just close their laptop down or their Chromebook down, and they do not hit this finish button. It's very important that they have to hit this finish button, because that will stop the test and register their score. Okay. Now, going back to the test, sorry. But what I'm going to do is I am going to actually cancel this test. All right. Sometimes this happens. Sorry, you guys, hold on. Dave. There it goes. Sorry. All right. Now, working and then going over to the next tab, completed tests. This is really important, you guys. This will show everyone that has taken that test within that day. Okay, so at the end of the day, like 11:59 tonight, all this will leave out. All right, so under completed test, it just shows the test for that day. So right here up first, we see Shape Jersey testing. All right. Now this was, if they would have passed the test, the only difference here would say passed right here under test type and status passed. Likewise, if they failed, it would say passed or failed right here. Under here, under actions, where you see this print receipt, this is what is very important. This print receipt right here, this is what is replacing the blue cards. All right. So the only difference is with this web test receipt right here is if Shape Jersey would have passed under result right here, it would have said passed. Okay. This, like I said, you have to print this out. This replaces the blue card. And yes, while a copy will go to whatever email address you entered in the students, when you register the student, what if you made a mistake and entered in their email address incorrectly, or just any reason? And those the paperwork that I did send something for you guys to give to your IT department, because they are students. So sometimes you guys have different security measures in place where the child might not be able to accept an email from an outside source. So you have to let them know to make us a permissible email address. But this web test receipt right here, this is what you guys must obtain. You have to print this out. All right. If you don't have the capability to print it right then and there, take a screenshot, do something. But after, so like say for instance, like we took this test today at 12 o'clock tonight, 11:59, 12 o'clock, I won't have the option to print this out anymore from the program on this screen. But it will have been sent to the email address, but me, myself, as a proctor, as a teacher, I can't print this out. So what does that mean? That means that in the future, when the kid needs a duplicate and they lose it, like I didn't realize they lose so much, you're not going to be able to give it to them. All right. And also just to be in record keeping compliance with the DOE and with us, you have to have a copy of this, just like you had to maintain the right side of the ST44 card. All right. So you have to print this out. Now, let's say you guys do have the option though, right here, we did grant you guys permission to run reports. So this last tab all the way over where it says test histories, you go to test history, select a report, it's test review, and then you identify what you're looking for. So you define the parameters. So let's say, for instance, we wanted to see everyone that we tested for like the last two weeks or so, right? If you're looking for a specific student, you would then enter their information in right here. But if not, you just define the parameters and then you hit OK. And it's going to show you every person that tested, that you administered a test to, of course, minus the training. An important thing to note is you can also sort by clicking on the link right here, first name, last name, or if you want to see all your ones that passed or all the ones that failed. But a cool thing about this is, let's say, for instance, with Lodi testing or whatever, the test ID, if you hit that right here, right, it shows you, remember all this is short because I was in training. So it shows you right here, that what the status was. It's going to say pass or fail, how many they had correct, incorrect, and skipped. But you also can go on review test. So when you go on review test, it shows you the questions, the answers that were offered, the correct answer, and the answer that was given, of course, naturally with green checks meaning correct, X's meaning incorrect, and blank spaces meaning skipped. And I'm sorry, I just realized this was in Spanish. On the bottom, there's that English button. It takes it to English, and it shows you every question that the child had and what they did, okay? So the last thing to show you is, let's say, for instance, it's next week and SHAPE failed the test and they're ready to take the test again. So they come back in and you simply just put in their name, SHAPE testing, and search. And we see our applicant right there. Here we are, SHAPE Jersey testing. And you just do the same process again. We're going to queue them up to take the test, right? You select whatever language you want, and if you're going to use the audio, and then you hit continue, right? And then you submit them again. An applicant was added to test queue successfully. And you just repeat the same steps. You go over to the queue, you print out the display ticket, you give it to the child, they come in, they sit down, and they take the test and hopefully pass. So with this display ticket though, if there is an issue, or say for instance, the child clicked out the test or they did not hit finish in the end if they passed and they're in pending status, the only way they're able to access the test again is with that display ticket. So my recommendation is that the child actually, you keep the display ticket until the child totally passes or fails. Okay. And that is it. Questions? I did that quick.
Yes, Rodell, there are lots of questions. I'm going to answer some of them, but what I might do is just go back through them and ask you to answer them. Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm going to have to stop answering, Mary Ellen. I think a lot of them we've answered, or actually some other people helped answer them. So thank you for those of you that were jumping in and answering other people's questions. That was greatly appreciated.
Where did you stop? And another thing, I'm sorry, before I even start this, I'm going to change my, let me change my name as well, put my email in here. But it's important to know, I know you guys know, I used to teach 20 years ago, so I totally understand. You never want the impression like, oh, we're teaching for the test. You know, it's a big thing with teachers. And I understand that this is different. You guys have had in the past just 7 tests, so you were very familiar with the questions. But with this program right here, the children are supposed to learn what's in between cover to cover of the manual, okay?
All right, so Rodell, I'm just going to kind of read through the questions in the chat. Some of them may have been addressed. And I'm going to call the person's name because in that way, at least I know that I've addressed that person. So Armand had asked, what is your email? I already posted that in the chat. I know you'll do that again. Somebody said, is it going to this school district email? And the answer is yes, but in their specific case, they have I'm going to have this person reach out to you about their school district and the student having access to the student email. So I don't want to go into that specifically. Student M. Denver said, what if the student doesn't have a middle name? They don't put it in.
They don't input it.
Okay. Let me see. So you would leave it blank. Okay. Yeah, so there's one person who commented that their students don't have direct emails. Again, I'm sure they'll reach out to you specifically about that. All right, let me see. Is there, okay. All right, so and this part I missed because I was responding to people's question. If the test is using the audio option, is it only in English or other languages as well?
Every language, I believe you secure, correct, Dave? I believe it's every language.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Right, that's awesome. All right, somebody said, do we have to enter every student ourselves?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see.
Unless you have a friend, a teacher, but have them. So the way that we group and we run reports, even when you're going to try to get the report, it's based off of your SDI number. So say, for instance, Jill, I was helping you and I'm entering your students. You can't manage the test because it's not going to be under your managed test tab. So yes.
Okay. And actually I'll get to that question because somebody said, what if I enter the student in early and then they switch classes? So, but wait till I get to that question.
You can cancel, you cancel it. And
you can cancel. Okay.
Cancel it.
Okay. So M. Denver said, so you could technically put in all your students in and then just extend their tickets. And the answer to that is yes.
Correct.
Okay. Let me see. So there is a print all. Okay. So this is a great question. So is there a print all option? Because it seems like a lot of work to print. Oh, wait. No. Maybe to print out maybe each individual thing, but I think you have to print it individually, correct? The testing.
You have to print each one individually, yes.
Okay. All right. First name, students. Okay, so this one came, when you enter the student's first and last name, most of my students have multiple last names. So what's your advice there?
You would enter it however it shows on their birth certificate.
Okay.
I believe that's the way that we've been going with that.
So just basically ask the student, what is their legal name or how does it show on their birth certificate? Okay. All right.
They're going back to that question, Jill. Sometimes the kids, even though it says three names, they're still not sure what they should put. Like, so it's like all three or.
So you're entering, like, say, for instance, Brad, would you have them in PowerBook or Genesis, like whatever your school uses?
Yeah, PowerSchool.
PowerSchool.
But it lists all three of the names.
I would try to list out. I don't believe the letters are restricted. Whatever's on their birth certificate is what I would just say.
Okay.
You could probably check with the guidance counselor or maybe just contact the student or the parents directly. Right, we're getting a lot more questions and I don't want to skip. So the question is, how long do we have access to test results to print the passing receipt? So that's within the same day.
So that's within the same day. So that completed tab. So remember under the different tabs, the completed one, I said at the end of the day, everything clears out from there. So being that it clears out, you won't have that option to print receipt. So that's why you need to secure it before the end of the day.
So, but as you said, you could either take a screenshot of it and then teachers could just save that on their desktop. Some teachers, I know if the students' results are being emailed, some teachers have said to the students, either go print me out a copy, and some teachers have said, send me the email and print me out a copy. So you have a variety of ways to maintain that information.
Exactly. I just want everyone, because I had a teacher call me in a panic. Technically, she kind of did right because all of the she entered in the students' email addresses, but I address. So therefore, what happened? She didn't print them out, so she didn't have anything. So we didn't get the
hold on. Okay. Yeah. All right. When we try, all right. So some people were talking about when we tried to print out the tickets back in November, we had a lot of issues with it not printing properly. That seems to have been resolved at this point.
Right. So back then, and I meant to address that. Thank you for whoever asked that question. If the barcode for some reason does not populate when you print the web test receipt out, that is fine. The technicians at the agencies will still be able to access the child's record. It's just a couple extra steps. They can't easily just scan it. But I'd like for you as a teacher, if that does happen, because we are in great communication with our vendor, let me know when it happens and what browser you were using so we can look into it. Okay, because the barcode issue definitely should have been rectified.
Okay, is there, all right. All right, so
I'm sorry.
Becky, I see your question. Go ahead, why don't you speak up?
We actually had a problem. We still have the problem with the printing, so we can't print out the display tickets or the test receipts. So I was having the kids email me their test result, and then I would print that out, print out the 2 copies. I literally just had a parent email me yesterday about the barcode issue. Because the barcode didn't print out on the
student's email.
Yeah, and I emailed you last week about it, and you said that they should be able to. The DMV is still not accepting it. Mom emailed me yesterday, and it's the Blanco DMV. I emailed you the DMV, but they're still not accepting it.
Okay, another great point, Becky. So if a student does take it to an agency, right, and their agency for some reason does not accept it, as well, let me know, because they all have been instructed to accept it and access it. All right. So if that does, it's not an issue. If it happens, just email me and then we'll immediately take care of it. Okay.
They still have, Delanco is not.
Delanco, you said?
Yes,
all right.
Delanco is not.
Thanks. And then I'm sorry, I'm not sure if Dave is still on the call, but Dave, is that an issue with their extensions like the other teacher where they couldn't print and you just have to kind of walk them through how to change their settings, their extensions to be able to access the printing, or no?
So as far as like the barcode not showing up at all, or are you saying printing in general?
Just printing. She said she had issues of printing display tickets.
So I know in the past we've had an issue, like you said, something with the extensions. There could also be a pop-up blocker that may be stopping it from from it showing up, from popping up. What I'd recommend is seeing or just checking with your IT to see if there's like a pop-up blocker, because a lot of cases that may be the case, or try a different browser, which, that's if, let's say your IT department is saying, hey, we don't have any pop-up blockers, it should be working. I'd recommend just trying a different browser. There is a list on that documentation that we sent out to everyone. We sent out a list of the available browsers that you can use.
All right. Somebody asked if they could use the school district Chromebooks. The answer to that, you said yes. Yeah. Chromebooks, desktops. I know my school used Macs, and those been fine. But you're saying that there's a challenge with the iPads.
Correct. iPads and tablets.
Okay. Let me see. All right. I know there's like 22 questions, folks. Please, I'm going to get to you. Sorry. So,
did you stop somewhere? Do you want me to help you?
I'm at 11:12. So I'm with Tara. So somebody said about using the skip feature. Yeah, so if a student they skip through the thing, and provided they haven't either gotten 11 wrong or they haven't gotten 40 correct, they will go back to those questions. Oh, that was the other question. So M. Denver asked us, M. Denver, you've asked a lot of good questions. Thank you, whoever you are. So what you were saying is, Rodell, if I have a student and I enter them in under my SDI number and then they switch classes, then just to delete them out, and then my new colleague can.
You would just hit cancel. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see what else. If they entered the original teacher's testing. Okay, so I think we've answered that question.
Right.
How do students go get back to the questions that they skipped?
It's going to like just reboot itself. So once you get down to question 50, and if you hit skip, it'll go back. So say, for instance, the first question you skipped was number 8. It's going to automatically go back to number 8 and just that way.
All right, this is a good question. Thank you, Mary Ellen, for this one. Once a teacher has created a practice student, can they take the test as that student?
Yes.
Okay, so that's where you just entered in your school is the last name, and then you would...
No, testing is the first. Testing is the last name.
Okay.
It's some sort of variation of your school, high school name, your name for the first and middle.
That for the first name. Okay, and then obviously then it would be to that teacher's email address, so that they could then see that would they also then get the test results to see the...
Yeah. If they enter the email address, they'll get the print receipt option, and whatever email address they enter, it will go there as well.
Okay.
That's a good way too of making sure that IT has made, well, if you can use a student's email, a good way to make sure that IT has granted us permission for the students to receive emails from us.
Yeah, Mary Ellen, that was a good question. Thank you. Okay, let me see.
There's another question there from Armin.
Yeah, before
for about a sample test. Okay, so Armand, I'm sorry, I didn't actually go to the sample test. It literally just shows the students how to just push the button and just hit submit. It was a picture of a horse. It's a 1-question sample test. And it says, what is this animal in the picture? You got, I mean, I could show it if you want to see it, but it's totally just 1 question. It just kind of just shows the students how they just select the answer. But since COVID, these kids are pretty well, they have adapted to taking a test online.
Okay, so Shay asked, how long do we have access to the test results to print passing receipt?
So you have until 11:50, so 12 o'clock, 11:59 that night.
Okay, but then it goes into the records and then the teacher could still go back and see that the student had passed.
The student can see that they passed, but they will not be able to print out the test receipt.
Okay, so after the students take the test, we have until 11:59 to print the receipt. Yes, that is correct. If a student, all right, so this is from Dave. If a student fails and needs to retake the test, how long do we have to re-enter the following information the next week?
I think I showed that in the end when we re-entered in Shape. So all you do is you just go back in the beginning, you type in the student's name and then you go search, you'll see the student. Then remember, that's when you simply just queue them up again.
Okay. Let me see. Would you email?
Rodell, isn't the student still in the queue when they fail?
No, they're not in the queue. Remember, they're in the queue. They're queued to take the test. Okay. They took it. So after they took the queue, they're gone. After they take the test, they're gone. You have to redo that.
So Alejandro asked this question: would the email domain to unblock from tech be njmbc.gov?
Yeah, so the test, and actually on that front sheet that I sent you, you guys in that packet, there's a paper to give to your IT department. And also in that quick reference guide, there was something I highlighted in bright yellow because it's so important. It does have it. That is the email address. It's going to come from do-not-reply@nbc.nj.gov.
Okay, all right. Correct. Tiffany asked, is there a way to email it to myself as the instructor? I'm guessing that's about the test results. So have the student email it to you.
Well, you can have the student email it to you, or Tiffany, if you opted to input your personal email address in when you register the students, that is something that you can do. But just remember, you will be inundated with all the emails from each student that passed or failed.
Okay, L. Gordon is asking, how many questions can the students skip on the test?
They can, do you mean skip through? I mean, a child can technically sit down and skip through all 50 questions to see what's on the test and then, go through again and take it. But remember, the test is not about the skip. The computer grades each time they hit submit. So they have to get 40 correct to pass. 11, they fail. So it's relative to how they do with the passing, and one's correct and one's incorrect.
Okay, Mary Ellen asked, does every student take the same test, or is it computer generated per student?
So what happens is we have a huge data bank of questions, and the computer will randomly select 50 questions for each individual student. So each one's individual.
Okay, so then, all right, so L. Gordon says, so when the students pass, they just bring the passing receipt to DMV, correct, instead of the blue card?
That is correct.
Yeah, so the web test receipt is now the blue card.
The web test receipt is the new blue card, you guys.
Okay, so Mary Ellen, if a student is entered to take the test the night before the test, is absent the day of the test, can the test be administered? I guess the next time they come back.
Yeah, so you would then administer the test, Mary Ellen, whenever the student is ready to take the test. And remember, you're just gonna have to hit the extend button because it's gonna be past 24 hours.
Okay, Amy says, can we pre-register all the students? And if so, do we need name, first name, birth date, email, etc.?
Yep, name, first and last, birth date, email, language preference, and then you should know already if they require or if they would like to take it with the audio enabled. That's all you would need, correct?
All right, Karen asked, what happens when the student email address is deleted from the district?
Good question. So that would only probably be applicable to that specific student if they are leaving the district and they didn't secure or print the email. So just have the student should just email it, but you should also have an email in your records. Remember, for record keeping compliance, you have to keep a copy of that web test receipt. So if I don't know what else you were saying.
All right, Jason says, you mentioned that the test is accessible on iPads, but you're saying it's not working really well.
It's working, but it's not working. It might be smaller font in some way. And then remember how anytime that the student say for instance, would click somewhere else, the computer is going to think that the child is trying to teach. So that's what happened. The first time when I tried to give this class, I was using my work laptop, which is a touch screen. I kept making a mistake and hitting like the side of the screen, and it kept just generating errors. So no, I wouldn't do iPad.
Okay, all right, this was an excellent suggestion from Kelly. She said, my school uses Gmail for email, and I have students star the email receipt so it stays in that section for their email.
That's a great suggestion.
That's a great idea. Okay. All right, so Barbara's asking, how do we separate each class?
Okay, so Barbara, when you so if you have multiple classes, like, you know, A day, B day, or just whatever, my suggestion would be for that, as far as for separating, it's just to input the student in according to class.
No, yours are in, your sandals are in the stroller.
Christy, could you mute, please?
I'm so sorry.
Okay, it happens to have a 2-year-old.
All right, somebody says here, I'm a newer driver ed teacher. Is this required to take this test for this school year? We do a paper test.
Hi, Kimberly. Yes, this is a requirement. Paper tests have definitely been phased out unless, like I said earlier, the child has an IEP or a medical 504 indicating that they must take it on paper. So I do offer additional trainings. I know you're new, so it might seem kind of daunting. Just email me and we could schedule and I'll walk you through it. But there's no way you can do a paper test anymore for your schools. We're transitioning to this. DARTS is the way from here forth.
Okay, M. Denver says, do you only hit the extend button only when you are about to print the testing ticket?
No, so you only hit the extend button when the student is about to take the test, if the extend button is visible. Okay.
All right. Okay, so you said we are getting away with the blue card. Which do we give after they've passed? That would be the web test receipt.
Right. So you said you're getting away with the blue card, which we give after they pass. So yes, we are doing away with the blue cards, but please notate, the agencies will accept a blue card because you have kids, you know, not everyone transitioned over right away. So as long as the blue cards are dated, you know, by June 30th, the agencies will accept it. Likewise, if the student loses a card and I have to give them a duplicate card, it's going to be dated prior to that.
All right, Jean says, do you need to print each ticket to take the test individually? So I'm guessing maybe she means the testing ticket.
Yes, the display ticket. Yes, you have to print each ticket and give it to each student. Remember, each ticket will have the student's name up top. That's specific for them to how they access the test.
All right, I know in a previous email set up to walk us through this PD. Yes, we can send you that information. Let me see. All right, somebody's saying, what does the end of the day mean? How many hours, time of day? So it basically means 11:59 p.m., yes?
Correct. At 12 o'clock, everything leaves.
Okay, we are printing the display tickets and the results for those who have passed.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. Okay, this is from Tina. When trying to print test tickets and receipts, not allowing to print, and also when the students are taking the test, I've had issues with the system freezing for periods of time. Is this something with the system or on not my end? Has anyone else had this issue?
Tina, oh, and for everyone, let me put this in the chat as well. There is a number for IT where you definitely should reach out to them with any issues instead of just having it being frozen for a long period of time. And that way they'll be able to look at it and determine whether it's something maybe with the connectivity on your end or if it's something with us program wise. But when you have an issue, definitely reach out and we'll see what's going on.
Okay, Beth says, if a student does not pass the test, do we have to re-input their information again? The answer to that was no, you just go and you search it when they're ready to take the test.
Exactly.
Okay, Tara, and we have to print the tickets within 24 hours of the student taking the test. Yes, you have to print the web test receipt. Or I'm sorry, yeah, the results.
Not within 24 hours because that's been an issue. I'm sorry, Tara. So you have to print the tickets by 11:59 that night.
The day that they took the
test receipt, the day that they took the test, not 24 hours. You can't go back and do it the next day, like the next morning, print them out.
All right. So McGrath, W. McGrath says that all our students have iPads. What is the issue with iPads? So maybe should they contact ITC specifically?
Right. I mean, it's just not as supported. Unfortunately, it's just not supported. Dave, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, but it's just not supported with us.
Right. At least at the moment, it's not.
Okay. Jessica asks, can you review what to do if the student closes their computer before clicking to finish?
Okay, so that's why I said earlier, let's keep the display tickets on hand until the kid absolutely passes or fails. So if the student closes the computer before clicking on finish, what they would do then is they would open back up, go to that screen, the initial screen, they would enter it back in their, what's on their display ticket. When they do that, it's going to take them right to that last screen again, and then they click finish, and then they'll be good to go.
Okay, next question from Jean. Are we supposed to have gotten a physical packet as well as the info in the email?
Yes, so Jean, I mailed a physical packet to every school, not to each teacher, but just to the school for them to, distribute amongst you guys. And I also sent it to everyone who I had the email address for. If you did not receive it, no worries, send me an email. My email is listed and I'll send it to you.
All right, this is a good question from M. Denver, because I know we do this in my district too. This is for the teachers. If the test was part of their overall grade point average as their final exam, what have some teachers done with grading to incorporate the test since it stops at 40 points? So I know some teachers have done pass fail. Some people have just said, the 80 is the 100. So if anybody has any other suggestions, please put it. Nicole's asking if you can resend a packet. Nicole, I'm going to show you where that information is available, but we can also resend it in the update. My question is, when was the packet sent to the school from Tiffany?
I don't remember the exact date that I physically mailed it out, but if you did not receive it, check with your school supervisor, whoever, maybe your physical education department supervisor. But if you need it again, Tiffany, just email me and I will send it to you.
Okay, somebody again, something about the packet, but we'll make sure that they get it. Somebody said, sorry, I missed the answer for how to separate classes.
So you can't actually go in and separate. Like I couldn't enter in, if I had 4 classes tomorrow, I couldn't go in and separate like 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever. I would just input the information in because the students are listed chronologically on the way that you input them, unless you sort it by last name. So the best bet would be just to input the students in according to the classes.
Okay.
And then when you go to start and manage the test, remember, they will all be in the Q section, but only once they actually physically log in, then they're going to be on that next tab where you can manage them. So that will be your demographic right there, the ones that have logged in. So that's how you can kind of monitor it.
Okay. All right. Somebody said, all right, so does the request for paper have to be in the IEP?
Good question, Paul. Yeah.
All right. Shay said,
it should say that.
All right. Shay says you didn't finish your statement on how to separate classes, but you just answered that question in the previous one. All right. Question is from Amy. If a student lost a card from last year, do we give them a new blue card or email you? They obviously have to email you.
So, and Amy, if you still have blue cards, remember you should have turned it back into your county contact. We collected all of them. Your county contact should have all asked for, if you're a public school, your county contact should have all asked. Thank you, Terry. I know that's where you're going. Should have asked for them, the discs and the blue cards, and then you guys were to destroy the paper version. If you are a private or parochial school, if you would just do me a favor and whatever agency is closest to you, just go ahead and turn them in. Okay.
Guy asked, how is it ensured that another person is not taking the test for the student?
Do you mean, okay, so that's a good question, Guy.
They're taking it in person, so you should know who you're
right. Exactly. But I did receive that question about a child being at home. Can they just email them the link? Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. How quickly will each student receive their test score receipt? Instantaneously.
Yeah, instant.
All right. Can I print the display ticket at the beginning of the semester?
You most certainly can. And then remember, just the day before, within 24 hours when they're about to start the test, just go through, hit extend. They can use the same display ticket.
Okay. Somebody asked again about having problems freezing out, things like that. They should contact ITC then about that one. Okay. Somebody said, I missed the beginning. How do the students get into the test site? There's a special URL for them.
Correct. And it's listed on the packet. If you need it, I will send it to you again.
Okay, let me, oh, this is an excellent question. Meredith, thank you for asking this. This is actually all in the dialogue, in the information. What happens if you have a fire drill or evacuation during the test, and when you return to class, there isn't enough time to finish the test? Can it be resumed the next day, or do you have to restart the whole thing? Excellent question.
That is an excellent question, Meredith. We just discussed this earlier. So technically, remember the display tickets, if there's a fire drill, so within that, while you manage the test, you would hit suspend all tests, okay? When the kids come back, I want you to collect all the display tickets. It depends on where when the fire drill happens. If it happened in the beginning of the class, you can just have them take it again the next day. But if it's kind of towards the middle of the class, towards the end, and the kids have already spent a considerable amount of time on the test, what you would do is you would hit suspend all tests. So everyone that's presently signed in taking the test, you hit suspend all tests. It would suspend all tests. Then collect the display tickets. Remember, that is the only way that they'll be able to access the test again. And then that next time when the kids come in, you hit resume, the kids can log in and go.
Okay, let me see. Yeah, somebody said, yeah, no, that's okay. Clarified the question about taking the test in person. Right. Somebody said, oh, here, come on. We had just reached the bottom of the questions. I was so excited, but keep them coming, folks. It's fine. All right. So somebody mentioned that they had students that had to wait about 10 minutes until they got the email. All right. So M. Denver says, I guess this is going back to the fire drill test. Let me see.
Will it resume wherever they left off? Yes, it will resume. And then I'm sorry to skip around. I know we're running near the end. Charlotte, I did get your email about the student. I know they have to go in tomorrow. I mean, I'm not sure where you're located, but no, they won't have it for tomorrow. The only other thing that I can do perhaps is, I'm going to go in the office in a few minutes. I can overnight it to you because you have to sign it and get it to the student. So I'm not sure what time their appointment is tomorrow. So maybe they need to postpone it.
All right. And then someone said here, just to confirm, we print out 3 things for each student: the display ticket for the student, the web test receipt only if they pass, then the copy of their results for our records, right side of kind of what would be the right side of the blue card.
That is 100% Eric.
Okay. Okay. All right. Wow, we've reached the end of the questions.
Yeah, knocked them out.
Does anybody want to ask a question in person? I know you had the option to put your hand up too. So thank you folks for this is like, I'm so glad this is going to be recorded because then people can go back and refer to this.
Right. And then just to recap, like Jill, a person had a question earlier. I probably have about right now so far about 20 PDs planned already. So take advantage of it, guys. If you need assistance, I'd rather you look at it again and learn it and really grasp it than than to have to call in with questions that we could have been proactive instead of reactive with.
Okay. All right. So
I'm sorry to interrupt. Rodell, I have one more question. I know.
Oh, Mr. Denver, go ahead.
If with the fire drill, if the students start the test and then you suspend it, right? How long must they wait before you can start it again? Because you said if they started it at the beginning of the class, will the program still let them take it the next day, or do they still have to wait however long?
Good question.
If it's the beginning of the class and like the kids totally didn't do it all, I mean, I would just, Dave's my IT.
No, not a problem. So the way that works is if the intention is to resume the exam on the very same day, then you can certainly do that. You can do it immediately. As soon as you suspend them, you can resume right away. And if you do that, then there's no need for that ticket information anymore. As soon as you hit resume, if they're still, if they go back to that same exact computer they were sitting at for the fire drill, they can just hit continue on the screen and it'll just resume right from where they left off.
But will the program let you, if say you suspend it, they're not able to finish it because the class is over, the next day, will you be able to resume that same test? So if a kid is like, I don't know, 30 questions in, and then you suspend it, it's after 24 hours because they weren't able to finish, can they still come back and take that same test?
Yes. Just make sure, of course, to just keep track of that ticket information because they'll need that to get right back into the exam again.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
you. Rodell?
Yes.
I'm looking to put a Google form together at the beginning of the marking period. So I'm going to put on there that I would like them to put down their first, middle, and last name, email address.
Yes.
What language they would like to have the test in.
Yes.
Audio, yes or no.
Yes.
And what are anything else that I missed? What are we looking for as far as an IEP? Oh, a written test, right?
Correct. So if a child has an IEP, because some kids, you know, they just test better not using a computer, or because of eye stigmatisms or whatever, they just cannot use a computer. So if a child does have an IEP or medical 504, then you should know that already. Like, I don't think you're asking the kid that, but you would just let me know, and then I can print a test for them.
Or let's say if a kid has a concussion, sometimes viewing a screen might not be the best for them, but they might be in a time frame where they can take the test written.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the first part of the question that you posed.
Some students might have a concussion due to some sports. And so using a computer might not be the best for them at that particular time. So a written test might be something that would be appropriate for them.
Right. And are they going to the doctors to get the medical 504s if they have a concussion? And
we would be notified by our nurse that they are under concussion protocol.
Okay, I didn't even think about that. Great question, Matthew. Contact me when that happens.
Okay.
Then we'll go forth from there. Okay. Terry.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing. You know, you're talking about resuming the test. Don't resume the test unless the child is sitting in front of you, because if they're in the building and they have their ticket, or they remember their ticket number or codes or whatever, and they're in another part of the building and they hit resume, that test is going to come up and everybody's going to see it. That's sitting around them. So just make sure that when you resume, they're actually sitting physically in front of you.
Yeah, and that hasn't changed. Like, that I think should be part of regulations and protocol, that the child has to be in your line of vision when you administer the test anyway. So great point, Terry. Yes.
So in that point, do you hit suspend or do you hit cancel? Which one? Suspend is pause, right? Cancel is you're done, you're suspended. It's it.
Yep.
All right.
Now, if you cancel a student, you can say, for instance, there was an issue and like I fell and hit my head, or I don't know, whatever. And you then would, if you canceled me, I could take the test tomorrow because you canceled me. But if I failed, or if I select, or if you selected cancel because they cheated, you have to wait a week. I just want to put that out there. Someone had an issue with that. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect.
Well, there's a good question, Rodell.
Great question, James.
If a student is on homebound instruction, can the test be given by me at their house, or do they have to be in the school?
Dave, he can go to the house, right? Because there isn't any IEP, not IEP, sorry, IP restrictions in place, correct?
That's from Jamie. So that was just the question you put in there. I don't know.
So if they're homebound instruction, I don't see an issue unless there was some type of IP restriction put in place yet. I know we discussed it. I don't believe that it happened, but
no, there isn't any IP instruction, any IP restriction.
Okay.
So as long as you guys are okay with it.
Jamie, yeah, as long as you go to the house, like, just don't send them the link and their password and say good luck. But as long as you go to the house, yes, that is fine.
It's the integrity of us as the driver education instructors and maintaining the integrity of the test.
Correct.
Wait a minute, there's no IP restriction? So in other words, I thought there was an IP restriction that the student had to be in the address for your school when they were taking it.
Well, because they should be taking it inside the school. So if there is a URL, Dave, I'm sorry, I keep calling out.
No, no worries. No, no, at the moment, there isn't any IP address restriction. I know it's something we discussed that maybe in the future we'll have in place, but at the moment, no.
So again, it just goes back to what Jill said. It's about the integrity of the teachers and just making sure, you know, that you're not going. Oh, and that's from, Dan, who is manager of BLS. They should definitely, like from our point of view, they should be at the licensed location when issuing the exam.
And Rodell, you've said that basically at all our schools basically become like its own NJMVC agency. It's just a school, so it's the same aspect.
Correct. So like when you guys, it's called a serve, you know, like the testing site, the service center, so that your high school becomes like its own individual little agency right then and there.
Okay. All right. There are no more questions at this point. If there are, we will do that. But I did want to show everyone something. I want to thank every single presentator for the presentations. They were excellent, outstanding resources. We will be sharing all of this information in the update, which we intend to get out to you before the end of the week. And I know I'll be probably reaching out to some of the presenters for clarification of materials. I see, Karen, you're at the beach. I hope you're having a good time, or at least it looks like the beach. I like your background. I did want to share, I haven't done this. All right, so share my screen. I want to go here, right? Does that take me to, let me see if that's going to work. Okay, yeah. All right, so there's my email, which I didn't want to show you. What I did want to show you was this. Okay, so I'm hoping some of you have seen this. If not, we're putting this at the top of all the driver education email updates that we've done out of a need to try to answer everyone's questions and try to maintain open communication. We created this. So for the speakers, so here's updated information about the test. You can contact Andre to do the sessions with Rodell on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Wednesdays. Here's information which will be hyperlinked to NJM sessions that they spoke about today. Here's information about Shape NJ that will take you to the driver education page there. Information about Jersey Drives, Brain Injury Alliance of New Jersey. If you want some information or want to become a part of NJ statewide team drive, I think there's over 200 plus people, you can contact Kevin Pogge. If you need information about MVC, so here are all the manuals. They are listed on the MVC thing, but we've put them here for you too. So these are the updated manuals. These are new. These two right here. This will take you directly to the site. All the forms that Rodell was talking about that should have been in that packet, those are all included here as well. So we've tried to make this like a one-stop shop for all driver education teachers. For the emails that we've set up, the archived emails that have been going out since last summer, we've been uploading that information here as well. So if you're on our DE list, you have access to this, upcoming events. And then if you have questions or anything that we can answer for you as a driver education teacher, you could just go to this Google form. Brad and I have access to it, and we will then include that information in that. So I want to thank everyone so much for their time, for coming today. And I hope you've gleaned something new. Brad, did you have anything else you wanted to say? Because I want to respect everyone's time.
No, I think that, you know, the questions that people asked were very important. I know, Rodell, you did a wonderful job in you know, giving us the information, as well as all the other presenters. You guys spread a wealth of knowledge to all of us, and I'm sure you'll be hearing a lot from our driver ed teachers, you know, over this upcoming year. So thank you again for everybody. Kudos to Jill, because Jill did a wonderful job, and we just hope for, you know, new and better things for this year. So thanks for attending, and look for bigger and better things coming soon.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Go enjoy the beautiful sunshine. If you have questions, Brad and I will hang on for a little while longer.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Brad and Jill.
Thank you, everyone. And I'm sorry, I hate to interject one thing. Prior to anyone going to a student's house or doing anything with that, please contact me, because we just have to check a couple things with that, okay? Thank you.
Hey, Rodell.
Yes.
Hey, it's Eric from Randolph High School.
Hi, Eric. How are you?
Good. Awesome job again. Thank you, everyone that presented. I just have one other quick question. Instead of typing, I figured I'd just, as people are signing off, I'll just hang on here and ask this question. I know that you said if someone opened a browser, it would exit out the test and I would have to resume it. But what if someone had Firefox, let's just say, and then like Google Chrome, and they had that split up and they can search something on Firefox and had the test running on Google Chrome. Do you know what I mean?
It should still prompt that. Anytime,
pick that up.
Anytime that you leave from off of that particular window for anything, it should prompt that. I believe it does.
Okay, gotcha. All right, cool. I just want to make sure. I was just trying to think of a kid trying to cheat, of how they would.
Right. And then, I mean, also just watch them. Like there's like little funky little like lights up in the corner, make sure they're not screen recording. But, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions. I mean, these kids.
Yeah, they're smart.